It has been long overdue for this, and these are blue light glasses, and it makes everything wider, number one. Number two, my eyes strain more with these on, and it pisses me off to no end. But right now, I kind of have to look at my computer back and forth. So if you see me do this, kind of have to right now. The long-awaited The Chronicles of Vladimir Tod, published in 2007 by Heather Brewer, now go by Zach Brewer or Z Brewer because of the newest books. They came out as trans. They also have 2 YouTube channels. I know they post on the one. The other one I think is no longer active or anything like that. They have also come out with another series, which I forget at the moment. When we get there. And also, I will show you a little later after this first review of some more exciting stuff. One of them pertaining to right there, and another 2 that are actually in front of me. So, Vladimir Tod is half vampire, half human. His mother, Marlene? At the moment, I cannot see her name, so oopsie doopsie. But she was human. Thomas was a vampire. I say was because both of them tragically died 3 years prior to this setting in a house fire that was basically just in their room. And Vlad lives with his relative Nellie. She's technically not a relative. She was Marlene's best friend who also knows about vampires, and she's a nurse. She gets in the blood bags. This also comes up when I was in book club. One of the mothers there was a nurse. She told me exactly how that the blood bag thing would not actually work even if they're expired. You see, Vlad gets blood bags and that's all he really has lived off of. He essentially cannot go without blood. He can have food, but it's not, nutrition for him. And for Nellie, if the blood bags are going expired, that they, basically just get thrown away. And Nellie's just like, yeah, they won't notice. Yes, they will. Even in retail, food places, whatever. If you steal food that is still expired, it's still in stock. Especially in a hospital, how are you getting away with this? Also, I think some places actually, because they're coded and some of them have security cameras in there, and I know some of them as well, you have to have a buddy system, or at least there's a specific person that is to come in and get the blood bags that are going to expire or that are expired and throw them away. They have to be put in a specific place because it is contamination otherwise. So that wouldn't make sense, but here we are talking about it as if it does make sense because fiction. Anyway, so during this time too, it comes to be Halloween. Guess what Vlad dresses up as? That's right, a mummy. No, just kidding, it's a vampire. Because why not? Vlad can do a few things. He can float, he can read minds, and he has retractable things. At the moment, that is all that he has. He and Henry is his best friend, been best friends since childhood, that they are going to a Halloween party, and Bill and Todd, or Bill and Tom, I don't care right now. I'm also going to say this now because this is a Halloween party, and they all dress up for whatever reason. This is one of the conversations that comes up as they're going to, the party here. Stephanie will kiss anyone. Yeah, I know, Henry smiled, returned. Her sister's cute, though. Vlad raised an eyebrow, half chuckling. Dude, that's gross. She just turned 12. So, Henry grinned broadly. So, you'll be 14 in 2 months. It's gross. Vlad shook his head and looked down at his right shoe, where his toe was poking through a tear. Impossibly, Henry's grin broadened. She's nice. Whether or not a girl will kiss you isn't a measure of how nice she is. I'm gonna leave that alone. We're not even gonna discuss it. It's there. Goodbye. We're gone. No, moving on. So, Vlad also has a crush on Meredith. Meredith is a sweet girl until later on in the series. But she may indeed be hinting at having a crush on poor Henry here. Henry and her are hanging out outside on the deck, and Vlad happens to see this, and they're very close, very pushy, she clearly likes him. Vlad has a little green devil on his shoulder and gets very jealous. Henry quickly says, nah, dude, it's not that serious. It's not like that. Henry's like one of the popular guys that took in it's the introvert, extrovert, best friend friendship, you know what I mean? And very clearly, like, they have that friendship, but Vlad pretty much is just like, let's leave. People also call him emo. When you dress in all black, you kind of can't get away from that stereotype. Also, I forgot to mention that Vlad has to wear sunblock because the sun hurts him and he's allergic to garlic, okay? So kind of not vampire stuff. There's also talks of Nosferatu, which that's timely. And then there was also Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I need to rewatch. That's been a minute. Oh, I just realized that's also timely with one of the girls passing. Now I'm sad. Why did I think it was okay to record this? Yeah, ma'am. There's also times where Vlad's powers are like kind of like irrelevant or just don't work in his favor. Like whenever he's trying to read Meredith and Henry's minds about like what they're talking about, he can't read them, but he can read the mind of Henry because he drank his blood, but then he also realizes he can read the mind of like this kid that he's scared to get candy. It's inconsistent. So I don't know if that's like, you need to drink more blood, Vlad, or if it's just like as you grow up it gets better, because it's not really explained here. We also have some vampire attacks that happen here. We have one for Edgar Poe. Yes. And then we have like another guy who gets killed off, and Mr. Craig is said to be one of them. He's one of their teachers. But funnily enough, that comes until later with a new substitute. I'm also reading this now because I forgot to point it out. So also when Vlad's powers of floating start to become a little like more stronger, fucking Henry over here on page 21 says this. Vlad shook his head. I can't fly, only hover a little. Fly, hover, whatever. It's cool. Plus, if you learn how to turn invisible, just think about the terror you could bring in the girls' locker room. Henry wiggled his eyebrows and took another drink. I wonder if you'll be able to turn into animals and stuff when you get older. So, Henry is Minetta. I know he's like 13, 14 years old, but leave that as you will. We soon see that there is a new substitute teacher named Mr. Otis. Otis goes by the famous name Otis. No, seriously, like, and he gives himself this name. Do you hate yourself or do you hate yourself? Blink twice if you hate yourself. So, Mr. Otis as well has a weird thing for mythology, even though this is language arts, which I guess this kind of counts. But he's clearly been the one harassing people. Maybe. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I say maybe because I read the book. After some time to get to know one another, they have a 1,000-word essay and an oral presentation on one of the many mythologies. Can you guess what Vlad's is?
Huge wolves!
Well, it actually was until Otis changes it. Vampire powers and shit. This is where you skip town, but considering Vlad is what, 13, 14 years old, he ain't got much to do but tell Nellie, who tells him maybe it's stress, that he saw the words change. What makes life worse for Vlad is that soon there is going to be a winter dance and he wants to ask Meredith. She clearly has a crush on Henry, so he's like, either Henry is dense or he's just a terrible friend. Or both. It could possibly be both. He could have his best interests at heart, but considering how he wants to, peek at girls in locker rooms, and he's kind of in this crush of, like, girls existing as his whole personality, that he wants to be close to girls. Now, mind you, I can't, like, say, like, hey, he's a bad guy, even though, like, he clearly says, like, that Vlad likes Meredith. But also, Vlad, if you're not going to make a move, someone else will, and clearly later on, I think Tom had, which even then, Meredith, if you like Vlad, why do you not ask him? But also, me being his age at one point in time, no, I would not have asked, and I would have let that feeling die very quickly. Why? I was a nerd. I was a nerd. I didn't wear my glasses, though, because I only needed them for reading. So why would I ever? I'd much rather suffer with the headaches than wear glasses, and right now, I have it all right here. These glasses are bad, but also it's the blue light, because otherwise they would have been perfectly fine. the rant is over now. You can skip. Vlad sneaks out one night to have a little heart-to-heart with his parents, where it's... The school is kind of hinted at a little bit here on how it's described. Where Vlad is, it's like where this old bell used to be. It used to be like a sanctuary, and then it got remodeled to be like a school. It was like in the 1800s is when it was built. So he's in this like part where the bell used to be. It's hard to get into, but like, I don't know where or how, because apparently he just hover. But I think in vampire lore, like, they could just turn into mist and fly around. I don't know if that's gonna happen. It's been a long time since I've read this series. But he ends up going home, but not before making a quick pit stop to Mr. Craig's place. He finds it open and that Otis may be staying there because he sees like his top hat on like one of the coat racks. We also get a sneak peek of this so-called vampire we thought was Otis that possibly may not even be Mr. Otis, which you'll find out later. Vlad manages to open the book he found in the attic with a note from his dad, possibly stating that he and his mom were going to die, and that we cut too quickly to the winter dance. This was something that I thought would be way later on. Even now, like, talking about this, there's another dance. This winter dance probably should have been for later on. It's not. That's kind of like a wasted opportunity because it shows Vlad sticking up for himself. It's not. I get why, but it should have been pushed to way later on. To maybe, like, this again could have been, like, we're at the beginning of the school year. That happened during summer. Again, we can have time skips. A lot of people should not be afraid to put them in their book. But here's the thing. If you're going to have, like, again, at the very beginning, it's very pointed out that there's a winter dance. There's a winter dance. There's a winter dance. And then it's just, like, kind of at the beginning, it's like, you build it up for nothing. And even then, there's, like, this spring dance or this summer dance, whatever it's called. It's insignificant because it's like, again, Vlad, at the end of this book, mans up and says, hey, go to the dance with me. It should have honestly been like, especially with him and Meredith, it should have been like a slow burn into later on events, but it's not my story. This is, again, I'm arguing a book from 2007 here. And he ends up going to the dance with Carrie Anderson, who we previously have been told is kind of going to be kissy-kissy with every boy under the sun. Also, she's 14. Also, I don't think that was the case that I read upon here. Yeah, I think maybe she was mistaken for someone else, or maybe it's like multiple people. Neither am I. I'm talking about girls like Carrie Anderson and Stephanie Brown. So it's both of them. I was correct. Because I was like, wait, what do you mean? To be fair, why do we gotta have two of them? Oh, I don't give a shit. I'm just fucking with you. Vlad embarrasses Tom by bringing up that he did ballet, and that makes Meredith leave. She was his date, so I don't know if I'd leave, but go off, I guess. And that's pretty much it. No dramatics from anyone, no fights, just a little call out, and Vlad getting a kiss from Carrie.
What was the reason? What was the reason?
Back at home, Vlad is showing Henry the book he had managed to open by hand, mind you. As Henry points out, his eyes change to purple.
I want that purple stuff.
We finally get a name to the vampire who's been drinking people dry, Diablo. He's running rampage through Vlad's old house and is looking for Vlad in Thomas's journal. Vlad and Henry go to the old house and find a secret compartment in the back of Thomas's closet. There we find a journal detailing a few things here. And this is from the point of Thomas and his day-to-day life up until maybe like that night of his passing, or like a few days of his passing. Melina and Thomas were not to fall in love. He saw it as food, but they fell in love anyway. They grew pregnant with I love how it says with Glade. Good job, autocorrect. They grew pregnant with Vlad, which is a very big no-no. The Council of Vampires is called Alicia. Thomas and Melina move and try to escape from the cult. Nellie is told about the vampire stuff and is to keep it a secret. Again, this is supposed to be a no-no. No humans are supposed to know this, but here we are. It's basically just like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. Does it anyway. No. You can't do that. Does it again. Ah, shucks. It really is. Like, there are so many people in this book that are humans that know about this, and later on know about this, that it pretty much is just like, people are not going to take this shit seriously, especially because, again, later on events show that maybe it was an animal. Or the chupacabra got him. I don't know. Anyway, he has the mark of Elias, the slash marks that we've been seeing everywhere, and wants to burn off in the sun, which will lead the Elias suspicious or come after him. One of Thomas's friends asks him to come back to Elias, asking he'd make the council understand, which Thomas does not believe. He has every right to, and is the truth. There is something or a group called the Pravis. Thomas has been sneaking around the Elias, stealing stuff from there too. Him and his friend also made an underground passage to Elias. Thomas also believes Vlad to have the mark, or at least like a phantom version of the mark somewhere on him, because he feels like this brotherly pull. Or, I don't know, maybe your father and son, you fucking psychopath. Otis decides that since he looks like death, for everyone to work on their assignments for the up-and-coming essays, as Vlad reads more of the journal and finds that Elysian prophecy will be fulfilled through Thrad. Maybe. We get a clear indication that Thomas and Otis were friends, and some sort of tango charm is keeping vampires from reading the township's thoughts. Also, the Pravis is Vlad, or the Elysian prophecy. Diablo is looking for Thomas too, who is gone in ash. Otis nearly gives out that Vlad is a vampire via garlic, which he's allergic to, and gives his presentation, which he does very well on. As that night, it's dinner time with Otis at the house, which why would Nellie even allow this to happen? You will understand later. And for some reason, when Vlad tells Henry and Nellie about his troubles, or that he thinks Otis killed his parents, or that maybe he's a vampire, everyone brushes him off. Why? But dinner goes as expected, and Otis kind of confirms that he is a vampire, while also drawing on his memento box the familiar slice symbol, douche canoe. Vlad reads more of his dad's journal and sees that the last entry has him not only stealing something called the Lucas? I don't remember how it's pronounced. He was going to surrender himself in order to save his family, but, you know. Mr. Craig is found dead as Otis comes in, looking like he's on death's door. He wants to come in, but Vlad's like, "Oh, hell no!" He leaves as Henry comes over. The next day, however, Otis asks to talk with Vlad after reiterating again that he knows that he's a vampire. Vlad runs off to the hospital Nellie works at and takes him back to the house where Otis is clearly waiting. She's like, "Let's set him straight, and he needs a good talking to. Man, the child in your care is a scared vampire. Do something." Now, it's not said she's being mind controlled, but probably. Otis admits to Vlad that he's his uncle, and that the mark he made on the box was to protect him, as it was the same one found underneath Mr. Craig's doormat. And also, if you're wondering who he is to Thomas,
nobody cares! Nobody! And you need to shut up!
The mark, if broken, is basically to intimidate the vampire to a fight. Also, Elysian is not a place, but a society, though they quite literally meet up in Stockerton. Who killed Mr. Craig, you may ask? Diablo, because of course it is. He's also the president of the Elysian Council, and is here right on cue. Like, no, really, like, as soon as, like, Otis is like, "Oh, this is the guy that's, like, the bad guy. Oh, he's right outside this window. Have fun." He takes Nellie back to Elysia, and that's where they head to by car, because Vlad can't really fly. This is also where Otis realized how far behind on everything Vlad is vampire-wise, from feeding on humans to not knowing what drudges are, that being Henry, because back in the day, he basically sucked his blood, at least, like, once or twice. They go to Stockerton, and it's a more modern-looking building than expected, as Otis betrays him. He essentially makes it seem like he killed Nellie and betrayed him, but they end up going to a jail cell and escape through the incinerator. All seems good until Diablo finds them and beats the living shit out of Otis and Vlad. Vlad uses the convenient thing. It was mentioned as a cylinder up until now, so it's basically only used to protect humans and halflings via bright light that makes a giant hole through Diablo, killing him. Everyone goes back home and we get more intel from Otis. Thomas used to be the vice president of the Elysia. Telling a human you're a vampire is a crime, and Vlad can block out people who are trying to read his mind, and that Vlad is the only halfling because vampires are created by giving blood and human essence. That, and Otis is going to tell the Elysia that Thomas died, so the council will leave them alone. If we have 5 books, this proves nothing. And a what if series, so I assume the Elysia are going to be probably some sort of trouble in that series too. Otis admits he's going back to Elysia after the school year is over, as he also admits the Pravis is based on a half-human, half-vampire old legend. Vlad gets a vampire tattoo, thanks to Otis, as we cut to the last day of school where another dance is announced. Vlad asks Meredith, who agrees, and we get no dance, and our boys are going to high school now. Here are some of the issues I actually do have with this book. A lot of the stuff is kind of just like, oh, it's in this time, so you can kind of think about it. But here's another thing, too. Sunscreen. Like, I think it's like 500, but then it's like, Otis maybe does it too. So sunlight's not an issue. The stuff with garlic is kind of just like a, don't do that, but if I ingest it, I'm going to die sort of thing. It's also like, weirdly, things are described, but others aren't. Like, Vlad's appearance is just like, oh, he dresses in black and he looks like his dad. Okay, what's his dad look like? Black hair, brown eyes. Okay, what does he really look like? Henry is not described except for maybe blonde hair. Meredith is not described except she's pretty. Otis just looks like he's weird and wacky and out there. He's not really described either. Like, we have personality-wise, neither is Diablo. No one is really described, and I think that kind of, it leads up to the imagination, but also it doesn't, because when you think of a character, you think of Harry Potter. Like, you can look into the movies now, but back in the day, it was described. Same with Twilight. You can picture Bella more as Stephenie Meyer because she was very much a Mary Sue. Vlad, I can only describe as like a generic emo kid, and I don't know if that was the point or not. Also, some of the stuff with the earlier versions of like the stuff with like, oh, you're 14 and you think a 12-year-old's cute. I don't know. That and some of the stuff with the blood stuff is one of those things where you kind of have to like leave it up to your imagination. Like, it's not really gonna affect you if you think about it too hard, just because it's like out there. The power stuff too is kind of inconsistent. Like the reading the minds, again, Vlad should have been asking about that to Otis. Otis as well is supposed to be trying to train Vlad for later on stuff, which I would have been like, hey, you need to train me how to do the mind reading stuff because I can block my memories. I don't know how to do that or how I'm doing that. And also, this book here, why was it able to be opened by me? Is it because I'm blood? Is it because I look like this? A lot of questions that should be asked are not, and it's very short for what's supposed to be for first book. I'm also, maybe that's like my issue of being like, oh, first book is always the longest because like A Court of Thorns and Roses is like that. Twilight is not like that. I keep thinking back to Twilight just because time wise, because I'm like, oh, this is from the like early 2000s, you know. I think a lot of this is just, you kind of have to suspend your belief in this because, again, we have more books later on that probably go more into this because it's just the start of, he's starting to know more about this. He's starting to realize there's more people out there. He's starting to realize his past in life, you know, like he's just now getting started to being in a good space. I do like this book. Mind you, it has a little bit of issues, but it's also one of those things that if you think really hardly on it, you're going to hurt yourself. Because again, there are some stuff here that it's just like, oh, here's the Ludus or the Lucas. Here's this other thing. Here's this other thing. Here's this journal. Here's this portal that, like, if you have vampire blood, you can open this, you know? It's stuff like that. And I guess those don't have to be explained, but it's also one of those things where it's like, I would like it to be explained, or at least for Otis to be like, oh, you opened up this thing. That means you're a true, like, vampire at heart. It means you're blood related, you know? Like, only people who are related to, like, that particular person can do it, you know? But also. So, with that being said, sometime later, let me actually look at the date in this. 2012. So, almost a good couple years later. 2007, 2012. I don't know math. There came a little graphic novel. Now, mind you, this one is easier to find than book 2. There are only 2 of these because, can you see my boy here? It's not the prettiest. It's really not. But I'm very surprised because normally, I think the only one I can think of is like the Maximum Ride in the Witch series by James Patterson that got this kind of special treatment. Oh, and the way later on is the Graceling series. Like that Graceling graphic novel, by the way, is ugly and it's bad. Like it takes all of the character out. Here's Otis in his little fancy top hat. We also do get at the end of the book, I didn't mention this, the Chronicles of Vladimir Tod in a journal. But before that, before we move on, I gotta grab some stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. Chronicles of Vladimir Tod in Japanese. Oh yeah, here's Otis here. Here's Henry. I think this is Juris? I forget his name. Juris. And here's Vlad here. Older Vlad, maybe close to Thomas. But here we are. I will also put up pictures of some of the inside because there are some pictures in here. And it was created around the same time. And that's why I kind of waited to publish this or make this video, because by God, am I having a good time just seeing these, seeing my characters look like, because they are so pretty in this. They're absolutely gorgeous. I had to have them because they are super pretty. And also, were super cheap for me to buy. So, they're going to go back there now. But I just kind of wanted to point this out. And tune in, like, not your time, but me time. I'll have this put up there. I also don't know how long this review is going to go. That's going to be an adventure for me because these are different than, like, the Tinkerbell stuff where I'm just going off from whatever. I actually have, like, a script here that I'm actually trying to read. So that's going to be more interesting. Anyway. Before you say it, I know this is the next day, and also, I am way more energized this time because I am re-recording this stuff after having a bit of like a more of a thought process and actually being well rested. This is garbage. This is bad. Also, conveniently enough. Whoa! Anyway, it just did it on its own. It's old as shit. The things that are wrong with this, besides the art style, is that sometimes thought bubbles that are supposed to stay inside, like, Vlad's mind, are for some reason said aloud. Such as, like, when suddenly, because I'm looking at it right here, where Otis makes the word werewolf turn into vampire, and he's, like, Vlad's, like, inner monologuing, like, oh, like, feared the sun, the inability to eat Italian food, like, that sort of thing. Now it's said aloud. I don't know why. I also forgot to mention this. I think the reason why Otis actually came over to Nellie, like, was going to have dinner with Nellie. I think they're kind of dating, but they're not. You know what I mean? But I think I didn't say that, so now I'm saying it here. That Nellie invited Otis over for dinner, and then Otis asked Vlad if that was okay, which I cannot say whether two adults who are consenting can do whatever they please, which, and Vlad did say, whatever, like, it's fine. And then, oh, is this book all coming apart? Oh, it's all leading up. It's all leading off. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, because also there are no chapters in this book. I don't know why. A lot of the times it's just later that evening, the next day, which I don't know why they didn't do it to, I don't know why they didn't just have, like, chapter 1, blah, 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 chapter 2, and it could be, like, a picture of so-and-so. But here's the thing, too, that made me even more upset. In the beginning, it's kind of led up to the imagination if Mr. Craig died or not at the beginning. You don't truly know, but you kind of think you know. In this one, it's this prologue. Bathory Knight, John Craig, English teacher. Then it shows him being brutally murdered. And at the bottom it says John Craig, dead English teacher. Why would you even do that? Why would you why? The Chronicles of Thomas Tod. Do you want to know how we know that now it's Thomas's journal? Because he fucking wrote his name in it. But yeah, the art style is less than desirable. A lot of times they have, especially for Vlad and Otis here, especially here, they have same face syndrome. And at the beginning, you can definitely kind of see, like, the difference in this. Like, you could see everyone kind of has a certain expression or at least some character look to them. I don't know about book 2 yet. I have not read it. But to be fair, this was so rushed, especially for trying to, because the Maximum Ride series, the manga, and the Witch series do very good job of keeping you entertained, and also for bringing new character into these people that you've most likely read about. My child has decided to eat plastic. As soon as she locked eyes with me, she dropped it. You are a crackhead. Anyway, but the other one I can kind of talk about more so than anything is the Graceling, that is kind of closer to this, that I actually did not like. It ruined the Graceling series worse than what the Graceling series has already done to itself. Like, it's just hot garbage. Now it's just not even good. But to be fair, I don't think it came across in my review of the first book. I truly did like the first one. It's a good start. I would have liked more, but also this is kind of like the introduction into the slow incline of what Vlad is going to have to deal with, especially with the Ulysses, the Ludus, or the Lucas, and then stuff with Mr. Otis. Because in this, it's not even kind of just like, oh my gosh, Otis. It's not even just like, oh my god, Otis, you're leaving me? And he's like, no, Vlad, I'll always be able to come visit you. And it's kind of like a heart-touching moment because Vlad's just like, I have a blood relative that I know is very connected to my father, or somewhat, so what am I gonna do? Instead, we get fucking Henry here dancing like he's a goof, and Otis being like, oh, what's that shit? Goodbye. What are you doing, Mama? So, I want to also say this now. My copy of... Wait, did I even say what 8th grade was? It's called 8th Grade Bites. I just called it the Chronicles of Vladimir Tod. I keep forgetting they actually have, like, names. This one is 9th Grade Slays, and mine has been through hell and back, because this is actually my original. The rest, I think, like, all but 2 I had to buy new, because I lost them. I don't know what happened. I changed rooms, and then I lost them. Also, we have... Oh, look, my boy doesn't change. And also... Like, this came from my old library that I went to as a kid. Am I gonna go to that place? No. It's on the bad side of town. Number 1. Number 2, I don't care enough to leave this house. But, is the art style better? Wait, hold on. There was actually, like... It's decent at some points. What the hell? It actually looked like people took time and energy to do this shit. Where the fuck was that in the first... Oh, never mind. It's getting worse here. I wonder if they were on like a tight budget for some of this, because some of these pictures definitely look like they could have been done by someone else. Adapted by Tony Lee and illustrated by Julia Ludd. But it seems like this one they had more time. Yeah, because look at them now. Like, look at these characters now. I'll probably put a better picture up here. But, and then compare them to, like, when they're at school. Compared to, like, what they look like at school here. It's the quality somewhere or another got a boost, but it was not good enough to save, because they only made 2 of these, which is a shame, because I truly think if they made, like, an animated movie like they were doing for Dogman, Big Nate, starting to do with the Dire Wimpy Kids, I think it could have been extremely, like, popular, especially with today's technology, and especially because, oh, what series is getting another reboot? I think Danny Phantom is kind of, like, in the hints of it. Like, it could be a really good, like, series, especially because it's an hour movie, possibly, and get to know everything. Like, you could get away with doing one every year. Possibly. But, again, I'm thinking, like, live-action movie. I don't think that'll work. I don't think a live-action movie would work. It would have to be, like, really good acting on everyone's part. And not just, like, corny, kind of cartoony type of shit. Like how a lot of them try and do it. Which, if you've seen my review of Maximum Ride, dear lord, was that a nightmare. Should have stick to being animated. Which, I don't know if they ever will. Because, ooh, I have the old library thing here. Oh no, and the last page says withdrawn. Friendship over. Oh my gosh, look, it's just all jet black. No shading, no nothing, just all black. At least in some of these parts, it looks like they kind of drew him more grown up. To the next review, because I never know how to end these things. Again, we're still doing the camera, or the computer right here. I just finished 9th grade Slays. This one has quite a bit more action in it, as I'm going to go over. Also, not to surprise you, but I haven't read it yet. I'm kind of like holding out. I don't know what to think. I truly didn't like the first one, so I don't know what I'm expecting with the second one. I skimmed through it, and the art is like either too dark for Vlad's hair, like to where you cannot see the lines of where his hair is, like where the sections of his hair is, or it's like really well done and there's shading, there's background detail. It's almost like this person had, or the artist had time at times, or like they came back to certain pages, or maybe they got like the ADHD, OCD, like I have to do it this way. Or maybe they got a crap ton of money because the first one did well, and then again, they didn't have a 3rd, 4th, or 5th one, or the Slayer ones either, so Vlad is now a 9th grader. Also, did I actually mention that he was supposed to be in 8th grade for the first one? I don't know, I think I just kind of held it up and was like, look, Vladimir Tod, look, and then I was like, anyway, that means he's only a freshman in high school, but more vampire drama. Jacek is hired to kill Vlad as Henry's cousin Joss is moving in. And newsflash, Joss isn't such a good of a guy either, since we have 3 books with the title Slayer Chronicles to tell you he's not that much of a good guy. We also get a little comment about Meredith and how she's tried to kiss Vlad at the dance but pulled away. Why this wasn't in the first book will remain a mystery, like why Vlad's eyes turned purple or who killed JKL. Otis writes to Vlad that he needs to be getting better at mind control and mind reading, which isn't seeming to happen because he's not only a vampire behind on his training, but he may just have part DNA of vampire human, yada yada yada. Henry asks Vlad if he'll eat from people, to which he says no, but never say never. No, really, if kids suddenly start eating a lot more food means that they're gonna have a growth spurt, then maybe that's the same with Vlad, or as Henry says, he may be becoming immune to bad blood and wants to crave the fresh stuff.
Don't push your luck!
We cut to school, where we also meet Henry's cousin Josh. Vlad and him quickly become friends, as he also becomes sort of his bodyguard. Sort of, kinda, he is at times, and then he just disappears, and it's like, oh my god, Tom and Bill are fucking my day up. Joss, where are you? Crickets. And to be fair, Joss is his own person and not a drudge, so Henry, come save me, Is he on a sports team? I know his brother is, but is he on a sports team? Why can't he call Gregory then? I just realized that. Why couldn't he call Gregory then? Or get a principal or a teacher to come and stop this? Like, as his powers get started. Anyway. There is one thing I want to point out, and it's an offhanded comment. So Henry and Vlad are going to go see a gory movie, and Henry says, it'll make you hungry. Seeing a gory movie always does. And my mom won't pick us up for another 2 hours. Have you considered that? To which I say, you and Henry play Race to Armageddon 2, which you consider to be unbelievably gory. So what's the difference? I mean, it's mentioned that Vlad drinks a lot of blood bags, but it's also said that there are a bunch of empty chip bags and soda cans lying around, so I just assumed that it was mindless eating while entranced in the game. This is also where we see Vlad using more of his mind-reading abilities on girls. It's Henry's doing. I don't think Vlad truly would be like, hey, that algebra test, what's this smart kid doing? And Henry's over here like, that girl over there. Vlad truly does not care about anything but Meredith. Salute, sir. You are a simp. Also, all of these girls that he reads the minds of, they're either seen as boy-crazed or insult Vlad. Wow, what a parent, not such a burden. Oh my god. Why? Why are they so mean to Vlad? It's almost like when they see someone dressed head to toe in black, they're like, mopey, bitch, little bitch. He kind of is. I'm insulting Vlad so much today, and I'm in a mood. But Henry is suddenly brought away from Vlad to talk to his friends, which he's pissed about. Granted, I would be too for the moment, since yes, he's very popular and just also ditched Vlad, but he reads his mind, and yes, we get another talking point about how easy Stephanie's sister, who doesn't have a name, is. This is gross, because we had this discussion in the last book. She's 12, maybe 13 now. Vlad and Henry and Josh are like 13, 14, 15 years old now. She's 12, 13 years old. She's a child compared to you. You also say this about Stephanie too. Ya nasty. Vlad uses his vampire powers to make Henry pick his nose, making the group leave. Henry is rightfully pissed, but they still go to the movies anyway. Also, I'm going to mention him a few times, but Greg is Henry's older brother. We never heard about him until getting to high school in this first one. So he is one of the jocks who is with the dick crowd of jocks who beat up freshmen for fun, but he's the cool jock. I guess. I mean, he tells them, hey, don't pick on them. Like, Henry and Vlad are cool, and they go, okay. So I guess it kind of works like maybe he's like top guy or whatever, or maybe it's just like they truly don't, and they were just kind of like teasing them. It's not brought up again, so I don't give a shit. I'm gonna spoil it now, but Joss is a vampire slayer, and the reason being is because his younger sister, when he was 10 years old, was killed by a vampire. He talks about how the slayers are always family-oriented. Gross. But they usually have some trait, and at his sister's funeral, he's sworn in, and he's in Bathory to hunt some vampires. Why family-oriented? I have no clues, because why wouldn't any person be able to do this? We don't see how they manifest, so I assume they just point to someone and go, yeah, you'll do. I thought maybe, like, throughout this whole entire book, we would maybe see, like, that he had the shining, or he had, like, some power he meant from him, or, like, he just had, like, the ability to pick up things quicker. Nope. His parents don't know that he is, or maybe they do. I don't know. It's all confusing. Was his sister one? At a Halloween party, Vlad slips outside and finds Eddie Poe outside with his camera. Eddie was mentioned in the first book as someone being nearly killed by Diablo. But also, if not, he's more bullied and less liked than Vlad. Man, the 2000s sucked for nerds and goths. Vlad offers his Grim Reaper caution to Eddie, which is heartfelt until Eddie begins freaking out, calling him inhuman and saying his eyes turn purple. What color were his eyes before? Shut up. Eddie runs inside after getting told,
these are not the droids you're looking for.
And wouldn't you know it, Bill and Tom come to fuck his night up even more, because apparently Eddie is untouchable in the Grim Reaper costume, and no one else fancies their beatings. They beat him up before Vlad gets the sudden burst of strength, and he pushes Tom off of him, injuring his wrist. Nellie is called and taken home, and like, he was attacked. Why did no one say he was attacked? Shut up. Time passes, and both Joss and Henry talk about making out with Stephanie's sister. She's 12 to 13 years old, guys. At this point, it's becoming like, is it supposed to be a joke? I don't find it funny. Is it supposed to be like, yes, these are what 13, 14-year-olds are like? Some of them. I think some of them would also be like, yo, this new video game? Mint. This comic book? Mint. A good chunk of them would probably be more engrossed in, I don't know, nerd culture too? Or sports? I mean, I guess some of them would be, but like, the amount of times they talk about Stephanie's sister like this is kind of to the point where they don't care to remember her name. That's just evil. But Otis sends a letter, and Vlad is going to Russia to meet Vicus, who may be able to have Vlad's powers grow. Oh, also he mentioned the Slayers around. Would have been nice to have read the full letter, Vlad. And guess what he sees after leaving the school late at night? Regardless, Vlad bumps into Josh, who's collecting bugs.
Wait, what? That's insane! That's a bug! That's a bug! That is a bug!
I wonder when Vlad's gonna realize this guy who just so happens to be his friend's cousin is a bad guy.
Feminazes.
It goes from bad to worse for our poor boy Vlad when he goes to ask Meredith to snowball, and it turns out that not only does she have one, but since he never made any attempt to talk to her, or I don't know, something, she figures he didn't want to be with her. Then as a heartbroken Vlad comes to school, on the front page of the school paper is Vlad floating to his secret hideout. It was by Eddie, and he gets cheated out by the principal, but you just know trouble's afoot. Let's rub some more salt in that wound, and guess who took Meredith to the dance? Vlad decides to mope in the bathroom about the school while the dance is going on and attempts to leave, only to be stopped by Meredith. She basically asks him why he didn't ask her to the dance and if he truly does like her. Oh, and she just asked Joss to make him jealous.
Oh, try me, bitch.
I hate Meredith. No, seriously. Vlad, leave her. She's not only tried and successfully hurt you and Joss, but I'm sure he didn't know this either. Be a bro, tell him, make up with him, and go find someone who doesn't treat you like shit. Upset or not, you have the right to ask him to, Meredith. They kiss as she runs inside. Vlad goes home, seeing a dark figure watching his house as he almost uses the Lucius on Otis. Tomorrow at 4 a.m, they are to leave for Siberia, Russia. Vlad is awoken by the cat and finds his Aunt Nellie and Uncle Otis are a little too close. Most definitely either flirting or secretly dating. Why a secret? Well, I remind you what happened to Vlad's parents. Or do you need a reenactment? Or do you need pictures? I don't know what to tell you besides we've been told why. They fly over to Russia and take a dog sled out to see Vicus, who is in the secret Elysian Council. Everyone is eating and drinking as Vicus welcomes them with open arms. Sadly, they have to tell Vicus that Thomas is dead, and Vlad recounts everything. Otis is rather upset that Vlad was the one to find them dead, and I can understand why, but you didn't know so. But we also learned that Vicus, Thomas, and Otis were all close. 3 peas in the pod, pretty much. They have a funeral for Thomas as training begins. He's able to hear people's thoughts and even make Vicus in the training early because he doesn't want to make Henry do anything out of his control, and that means it's a success. We learn more about the Pravis, meaning that it's the chosen one / God storyline. The Pravis is code for someone born half vampire and half human, and is basically going to enslave the humans. Why's that? No, really, why? Why not vampire kind? Well, it kind of goes hand in hand, I guess. But Vicus also reveals that people are going to kill him to see if he's the Pravis or not. How fun! So after our fun in Russia, it's time to go home. Otis drops him off at home as Nellie leaves for another long shift at the hospital. When Vlad realizes someone is staring at him, Jacek rushes after him and bites him, stealing his blood and leaves him to pass out. Henry finds him and drags him inside as Vlad feels the insatiable hunger. Henry offers his own blood but refuses and calls Nellie to tell her to get more blood. We jump to school as Stephanie corners Vlad as a distraction to where Tom and Bill throw him in the boiler room basement. This is also where Eddie is messing with his camera, being down there since the arrival of school. So no teacher was concerned or decided to call his parents for a sudden no-show. I don't know, maybe that was just sometimes with my school, or maybe it was more the troublemakers. I don't fucking know. The janitor doesn't come down there either, so I guess Eddie probably would have died down there, because also it's soundproof, so that makes it 10 times worse now that you think about it. But with Vlad's insatiable hunger still amok, Meredith opens the door and saves them. The next day, Joss and Vlad are heading home as Joss apologizes to go into the dance with Meredith, even though he knew Vlad liked her. This leads to the two becoming close. So close, in fact, that Joss admits to being the Slayer, killing 23 vampires in this fact.
Oh crap, Lois, it's the Temple of Time.
So I kind of get both sides. Vlad wanting to live and capture the people who killed his parents while also trying to stay hidden as Joss is taking control, killing those who could harm others in the name of his sister and others. So yeah, tough choice on both sides of who's right and who's wrong. Even though I think we're supposed to be on Vlad's side, but like, one's avenging his sister, and truly, we don't know who killed his sister, wink wonk. But Vlad also doesn't know who killed his parents, wink wonk. I wonder who it could be. I'm not going to spell it out for you. We have 3 other books to tell you. Shut up. But Joss scares the daylights out of him by putting him in a chokehold and nearly stabbing him with a stake. Joss tells him he's kidding as Vlad goes home and cries.
What a baby.
Vlad goes to see his parents' grave and comes to his old house, finding Jacek heading inside. After a long game of hiding, Jacek gets a call and tells whoever was on the other line that he had Vlad's blood, but not the Lusic. Oh, and I forgot the killing part. That may have been important, but... But he, Henry, and with the help of Gregory, drive to the Elysian building, and Vlad sneaks inside, following behind Jacek as we find out that Diablo is indeed alive. Yep, and he thinks that Vlad is the Pravis, and to do that is to kill him or something. I guess we're hitting him in the heart. I don't know, man, it's kind of stupid to keep bringing a kid who knows nothing about vampires into the vampire territory where he can learn to kill you. And you tell him, hey, just aim for the heart. Same with Joss, aim for the heart. Guys! Vlad tells Joss about Diablo, but doesn't use his name. I have no idea why, but also that would mean like that he knows this vampire's name, even though you could be like, hey, I overheard two people talking and they were both vampires. I only know one of them's name is Diablo. Critical thinking is not your strong suit, Vlad. Joss agrees to kill him and says he's got to meet with some guy who hired him to kill a vampire. Guess who it is that hired him? Yeah, my favorite line is this one. Vlad, no offense, but I'm a slayer. I think I know how to spot a vampire.
No.
Diablo basically admits in front of Josh that he knows Vlad and that they are vampires. He also says that he would have died from the Lucius if he aimed for his heart. Again, what I tell you. He hired Josh to kill him because it's against the vampire law to do so. They'll find out, dude, they can read your mind and memories. So technically, you did kill him still. Or would have. Oh, but there's a reason Josh is being quiet during this time. Vampire powers. Probably a drudge or maybe just mind control. Or manipulating memories, something like that. Diablo wants Vlad to become a Pravis himself and take over vampire kind. Oh, and guess who else is working with them? Anyone by the name Jacek? Because why not? Why can't we just have two rogue vampires? Also, how did I cut myself? How? Oh, and he also reveals that he stole the Lucis. Because Vlad just sort of admitted, oh yeah, I'll leave it here just this one time, even though Otis has admittedly told me to carry this around everywhere. Critical thinking is hard to do when you're this stupid. Diablo also has a plan to become friends with Joss and get into the Slayer Society and give it to the Elysian Council and get on their good side. You would think that someone has already done this, but I digress. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. Vlad tries to race it with Joss as he's ultimately stabbed in the heart and dies. No, actually, this means he is the Pravis. Otis and Vicus find him lying on the ground as Otis gives him blood, and the strangest thing occurred. No, not him being in the hospital partially run by vampires, but it's that Joss came to see him. Vicus stays as Joss says he's leaving and admits to hitting his heart with a stake. Vlad tries to get him to see that he's being used, but Joss doesn't care and leaves Santa Carla. We also get some intel that Diablo and Jacek also beat up Henry to make sure Joss stabbed Vlad, which also means that they've been watching them for a while. Vlad returns to school and gets a little letter from the Slayer Society, courtesy of Joss, who says their friendship is over, as Meredith asks him to the Freedom Dance, and they hold hands as he walks her to the library. So I do like this one more than the first one, because it does give us more character with Joss and Vlad's friendship. Because Henry has a lot of, like, it talks about student council stuff. It does talk about how Henry senses Vlad in trouble more in this one. But here's the thing, too. What does Jacek look like? What does Vicus look like? What color are Vlad's eyes besides purple? What does the Lusic look like? Besides it being a cylinder with this mark. A lot of things still are not described. And I can see like the school. You could just picture your own school. You could picture your own house or a house in general. But also I realized this. Vlad, from how it sounds, because there's a scene where Joss goes up to Henry's room and it's got a bunch of vampire stuff. And like that Vlad has been looking up the vampire encyclopedia, as he calls it, and a bunch of other vampire stuff. Nothing else in his room is described, like, no detail on the looks of Russia and the Elysian building either, or, like, anything. And I don't know why, because it would give us a good into just a look, because each Elysian building is apparently different, because the one in Bathory looks more like a big office company building, and the one in Russia, I don't know. Also, Otis is wanted in every single Elysian council except for London and Russia. So that's fun. That would also mean that they know who Vlad is, partially, maybe. I don't know. This is bothering me. My hand has a cut in it from work. Ew. What do Tom and Bill look like besides stupid jocks? Every time I try to think of them, I draw a blank, because I can see Vlad just as some random emo kid. Meredith, she has chocolate hair. And she has, I think, similar brown eyes. I don't know. No one is described. Also, this kiss from when Vlad pulls away could have been in the first book too, to kind of be like, oh, we're leaving on a cliffhanger. That could have been interesting. Especially, like, we had the qualms of, like, him actually being like, I feel like a dumbass. I feel like I fumbled the bag so hard. And I would have liked to have seen, like, Meredith ask Joss, kind of like, we didn't know it was Joss. We don't get that. Like, she's just kind of upset. Like, we get, like, a one kind of thought process with her, but I think it's just, this will always be Vlad's point of view. Anyway, because the more I think about, like, what I could not describe to you, the more I kind of get a little bit angrier about it. Not angry, but more so in the fact that we have a choice here of giving detail, and why we're not baffles me. And again, what year did this come out? 2008. We're gonna read this one now. I don't know. His eyes change color again. Now they're, like, more silver in this. And yet they're kind of just gray here. They're more silver. The inconsistencies, people! I haven't even read this yet. I'm on, like, the first page. Also, why are these not page numbered?
Oh, it could have been separated into chapters. Oh, we got end of epilogue here, but everything else, go fuck yourself.
Ah! I finished it, even though I have it docked for a reason. And I don't remember what page it is in the book, but there's a part, this is like way after Vlad gets his blood drank by Jacek and he passes out and Henry comes and finds him and takes him back home. There's literally, it's like a page of like Henry being a smartass, being like, oh yes, master, and then immediately, because in the next scene, it's like the next chapter, that Vlad is still hungry, and it's assumed that, like, Jacek taking more of his blood still leads him to be more hungry, like, the next day at lunch. He's still hungry, and he gets met up by, Stephanie, and this is where Bill and Tom throw him in the boiler room. Yeah, that's not in this. It immediately, hold on, because I'll take pictures of it, it immediately jumps from, oh yes, master, and then suddenly Stephanie trying to talk to Vlad, which I'm like, alright. And then there was another part. Hold on. They also missed the part where they could have showed Henry being hit by Jacek, but you know, that would have been smart. Also, they could have had Jacek, like, in another scene, steal, you know, the Lucis or the Lucas or whatever the fuck it's called. So yeah, there's also a mistake here. There's a couple mistakes that, like, near the end they got lazy. One of them is that, again, I'll take a picture of it. It's where Joss stabs Vlad, and it shows that, like, Otis is like, when I saw that stake in your back, I just knew, like, some trouble was afoot, like, and Joss was standing over you with blood on his hands. Yeah, in the next scene, in that following scene, for some reason, it's in his back, and then for some reason, Joss took it out. Or maybe he put it in because he's a psychopath. But clearly they're like, yeah, we saw you with the stake in the back on the ground, and, like, Joss had blood in his hands. I guess. And then for some reason as well, it's Vicus. The speech bubble is Vicus saying that he gave blood, but I could have swore it was Otis. And then I was like, oh, maybe that's a mistake. And then for some reason, near the end here, it has Henry being like, yeah, and Nellie convinced the school to let me progress to 10th grade. Why would Nellie? Why would Nellie? I get your friends and all, but like, why would she? Wouldn't your mom and dad? That was just a mistake. It was supposed to be for Vlad. I don't know. Again, there's some parts where the hair is just either one solid mass for Vlad, and then sometimes it's super detailed for other characters. I also realized this too. For the times that Vlad has like short sleeves on, we never see the mark on his hand or on his arm. Sounds like no one also knew what part of the arm it was on, so why not just say, no thanks, I don't want to draw that. Long sleeves, please. Which, fair enough, I guess. Also, we could have gotten more pictures of, like, Otis and Thomas hanging out, because we just get pictures of, like, him kind of looking like Vlad. We don't see, like, them hanging out or doing anything. Hold on, how many stills do we get of their backstory? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8 little panels to be like, cool, they knew each other. What riveting stuff we have here. Also, did I mention, like, the review that Joss was being mind controlled, like, by them? In this one, it shows that, like, he's fighting back and forth, and that he kind of realizes he's being taken over and is trying to tell Vlad, hey, go away. I think I may have. I also don't remember too well. They got lazy at the end, but also there is no other one. I could not find more information on why they never got a third one, besides either it's not popular enough, they didn't have the budget, or it became irrelevant, so it was like, what's the point? It's kind of like when Marvel did the comic for Maximum Ride. Interesting, but like, we didn't need it. We still wanted our manga one, which maybe getting an update. I don't know. Maybe. I have to get the book 3. Oh, dear Lord. Next up, we have, which for some reason the back is different here. We have 10th grade bleeds. Is the word? Yeah, the wording is different on this one. It was purple. It's white now. Change. I don't like change. Dear Lord. Oh my gosh, we have Elysian Code. I'll have to study some of this and be an absolute menace when I do this. I am slightly sick. I don't have a fever, but I'm just nauseous because I just finished this today. Technically, what's today's date? The 24th of March. Yippee skippy. This has more action than the other 2 books, but I want to kill every character in this. I want to beat up everyone. I think except Otis. Even then, I still want to beat up Otis. Well, to be fair, Nellie's the exception. And Meredith hasn't done anything. Let's get with 10th grade bleeds. Didn't we do that last book? Next one is 10th or 11th grade burns, which we also do that in this one, so I won't remember that I made that same joke, but I'm saying it now. Ignatius is the name and the newest member to try and bring Vlad back to the Elysian Council, dead or alive. Breaking vampire rules, I see. Rules for me, but not for thee type of shit. Vlad and Otis practice his vampire powers on location tracking, and Vlad is pretty up there since he can go to the person's eyesight and see where they are and recognize places and location. So he's pretty godly in that sense. It's the last day of summer, and Otis is going to be taking his leave once more. We also see how glyphs are made, which is the user/vampire's blood with the Elysian Code, aka their name in Elysian, and is only erased by the user. As of late, Vlad's hunger has been getting worse. Well, which, to be fair, 1, he was stabbed in the last book, so maybe it could be that, or 2, a growth spurt, or 3.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
Otis asks him to drink from at least someone, and Vlad says no. Otis admits that there is a place where drudges give blood for vampires, but it's in Paris. Otis even says that he could get some friends to help him, and Vlad still says no. I would have just escaped from the Elysian Council, so I would have also taken Nellie with me, but you know, what do I know? I guess Henry being there is the only thing keeping him here, and also the house. Possibly the only two things, because, yeah, nothing is really holding this dude back besides, like, the memory of this place. Even then, you have memories in Russia, and yet you didn't really care. You didn't want to really leave either, because it's like your brother and we're all right there. I don't know, Vlad, pick your battles. In this one, you ain't picking a very hard one to fight. School is pretty much uneventful, but Eddie is becoming a little menace, following Vlad and trying to catch him doing anything worthy of note, which he still does not, even though he knows he's out at night. He's just like, oh, damn, it's 9 p.m., it's past my bedtime, man. I can't be sneaking out when it's dark and there could be a vampire on the loose. Eddie, you're fumbling the bag. Even then, I'm very sure that, like, he could find, like, Bill and Tom and ask them to follow him and take pictures, but also, Bill and Tom are kind of assholes to everyone and anything, so at this point, Vlad just needs to sit and talk to him. It's clear he's going to be a problem for everyone, including himself. The probably next 2 books, I assume, but anyway, we haven't gotten there yet. I also haven't gotten there yet, so, like, what's the point of him trying to out Vlad exactly? He doesn't even know what he is or that he's even a threat. No, truly. What's his point? Oh, you may be a vampire. I haven't done anything to anyone. Does he think that he killed Mr. Craig? Which he doesn't even know that Mr. Craig died by vampire. So I don't even know about that. Eddie's just... He's on his... He's got a list. And Vlad's probably top 3. Nah, he's probably like top 5. He's probably got a couple of other people up there. Otis is officially leaving after dinner as Vlad begs him to stay, and of course he can't. He kisses Nellie goodbye, my heart, and he leaves. Vlad falls asleep and wakes up sometime later and finds a vampire at his doorstep, believing it to be Otis, but it's actually Diablo. He asks for Thomas's journal for memory's sake. When Vlad refuses, he chokes the shit out of him before leaving. Again, why he doesn't try to beat the shit out of him or ransack his house, or even use Nellie as a way to get what he wants is beyond me. Ignitus, we find out, is allergic to the sun, like comedically so. Also, he got the okay from the Elysian Council to kill him, or at least bring him back. Let me say this now, and I will 100% say this throughout the entire thing. Stop bringing the kid that knew nothing about the Elysian Council and this vampire stuff more into this world. You're making it so that it's harder for you to stop him. Because later on, it becomes a very, very, very clear indication that this is a bad idea. You have the one thing that could have, like, hurt you in the end. You got that out of his hands, okay? Later on, there's more things that stop you. Thank you. Also, Otis doesn't answer Vlad's calls, probably vampire shit, but it's kind of hinted that Otis is dead or ignoring him. Vlad furrowed at Henry, who was leaning up against the kitchen Sam's costume. I have genuinely no idea what that means. I tried looking it up. I have no idea what that means. The hell is a kitchen seance? Henry doesn't want to go to the Halloween party pretty much because he's not doing so well in the lady, and Vlad and Meredith are a thing, so no third wheeling for him. But truth be told, his ego is kind of hurt because Melissa Hart asked someone else to the party and isn't falling for Henry's charm. He asks Vlad to read her mind to see if he has a chance, and he says no. Henry calls him a hypocrite, which, no, he's only done it for you and only you, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. Henry leaves as Meredith arrives, and they head to the party. Just a short tangent here. Vlad believes Henry is being off because of the vampire stuff, in that maybe he realizes that he may be tied to Vlad forever. I smell drama. Oh, and drama it is. Vlad realizes that he is still an outcast emo dork and goes to get some fresh air. Meredith follows behind and they dance until they walk back to his house. They go to hug goodbye as Vlad nearly bites her and is only stopped by Nellie, realizing his hunger is really out of control and that he's truly a monster.
What a baby.
Vlad saves a kid named Sprat from Tom and Bill, gaining a little vampire strength, as Vlad also uses his powers to make Henry sit with him and Meredith. Ouch. The goth kids sit with them and they thank Vlad. See, we got new friends. Being a nice and helpful person can lead you to have more friends, Vlad. Also, these new friends are way better than the ones that he has. at this point anyway. But yeah, they're really good friends. Like, top tier level friends, even though they're just sort of outcasted. Just because you're outcasted, kids, does not mean that they won't be nice to you or don't want to be your friend in general. But Meredith and Henry make fun of them, and Vlad says he'd like to join them sometime, and like, Vlad looks like them. Like, they make fun of them because they're emo and shit. Do you not see what Vlad looks like? Vlad. Do I have to put up more pictures? Because Vlad dresses up in black and emo all the time because goth and emo, but he's not goth and emo, you know? Honestly, this book should be called 10th Grade is Misery, because Vlad losing his friend, and for some reason, is now cool to make fun of the emo kids, even though Meredith would walk away from embarrassment, and everyone used to cringe at how awful the bullying was. Out for a stroll after a bad nightmare, Vlad finds a Slayer coin, believing it to be Joss's, and keeps it. Vlad is 15 and fast-forwarding a bit through this whole charade thing. Otis doesn't seem to be making it to the party, but does give him a letter he had written the day he was supposed to leave, and basically gives us a little detail of how him and Thomas met. Basically, Thomas was the last of an English wealthy family, and Otis a poor French farmer boy, and were turned at 35 and 36 in France in a prison for whatever crimes they do not know. This also means that Otis has some French accent and Thomas maybe had a British accent, but details are super unclear. He never says who turned him, but you're gonna have to keep guessing, because even though I put a big, like, maybe it was these two people, you'll find out later on. It's very disappointing, but you'll find out later on. Henry slammed his locker door and plucked the photo from Vlad's hand. He tossed it down the hallway Frisbee style and glanced at Eddie. Fetch. That was a pretty funny line, honestly. Do more funny shit like that often, because Eddie is still a little fucking nuisance. Oh, look at this picture, What picture? Fuck you. But Eddie captures Ignitus following Vlad, but again, the man is definitely allergic to the sun. And also, this technically means moonlight, too. It's comedically funny. It is so comedically funny. He can only come out at night maybe once in a while. It is comedically funny. Also, I'm just asking this now, why did the Elysian Council hire the worst vampire? Only on new moons and cloudy days can this man hunt. Like, I guess his bloodthirsty drive can, like, push him to anything, but, like, you feel bad for this poor fucker at times, especially because it's like, we get little snippets of him trying to be like, Vladimir Tod, you're gonna die tonight. Oh my god, the sun. It's so fucking bad. Like, there are so many times where he's like, my knife is thirsty for blood. Ow, my fucking skin. I'm gonna hide in a closet until... Like, where does he go to hide, by the way? It's never explained where he goes to hide. He's just in a dark janitor's closet going, they'll never find me here. They'll never find me here. Vladimir Meredith kiss in a janitor's closet. I've never seen those things unlocked, but I digress. That's someone else's problem now. At least kiss behind the bleachers or an empty classroom if you're not wanting to get caught, and also you're in a hallway, so it's the easiest place for someone to find you. Oh look, no surprise, they get caught and sent to different days of detention. Smart. And guess who else Vlad's buddy is for when he's sent to detention? In the library. Who would have thunk? He finally says he's a vampire. Henry helps scare Eddie off since he's not hiding the fact that he's trying to capture Vlad off guard, and we cut to the snowball where it all finally comes out to why Henry's been acting off.
Then Henry's hands were out of his pockets, his eyes blazing, his face red. I'm so sick of it, Vlad, he yelled. You think you're so special because you can float through midair and read people's minds? You think you're so great because you can order me around and I have no say at all? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of you.
First off, he didn't know about the drudge thing. Second, dick. Also, you made him read girls' minds too. You're complicit in this sense. But he asks to no longer be his drudge and leaves. We finally get to be at one of those dances as Henry told his supposed date some lie about him getting sick by Vlad, dick, but for a good minute he thought Henry revealed his secret, which, hey, where are Bill and Tom again? You know, the biggest dicks here, unless like that one thing at the beginning scared them, which highly doubt, but like, I just realized they're kind of not here. Weird. I wonder if there'll be a problem in grade 11. Weeks go by as Vlad apologizes to Henry for making him do things out of his control, but it doesn't go well. Why can we not talk our feelings out? Because teenagers. Also, couldn't you read his mind? Like, maybe it's more than that, or see where he is? Like, he's letting his anxiety get the better of him. Either way, Vlad is now alone with possibly only Meredith and the Goths, as October is actually becoming my new favorite. She's nearly attacked by Ignitus and kicks his ass. She's saved by a cop, and Ignitus just sucks. Comedically so. Again, you see later on that, like, he nearly, like, beats Vlad's ass, but, like, this man is beaten in slack. It's like Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny comedy levels of how bad this man gets his ass handed to him. Vlad has been having nightmares, mostly of him being tortured and maybe a sense of the future afoot, but he wakes up hungry and finds a letter from Siberia waiting for him. You know what I just realized? He can communicate with other vampires. So why not talk to Vicus? I mean, Otis isn't answering, he's trying to see where he is, so... Or we wouldn't have a story, you know? Maybe that's it. Or, how about this? Maybe he can only see a forest, a room, maybe a hotel, or maybe a sky because he's flying somewhere. Why is it that difficult to say? Like, maybe Otis is pushing him away, or maybe it's, like, static or something that's causing, like, him not to be able to talk to Otis either. It's explained why, but also... Vlad, you gotta keep trying, especially when... You should try, like, the distance thing, like Vicus has been telling you. Even though I think it's, like, down a couple of blocks where Otis had, like, gotten the mind-reading abilities too. Even then, at a couple of other points, like, Vlad can clearly read Otis's mind, or at least be like, hey, buddy, how's it going? I don't know why now, besides just anxiety. Anxiety. Vicus writes to Vlad that he hasn't been able to contact Otis either, and Vlad finds a way for Henry to no longer be his drudge. How about we talk this out before doing rash things? No? Okay, cool. Also, that's pushed to way later on. So, meh. Ignitus finds Vlad and they fight. Vlad overpowers him with his strength and speed, only for the sun to come out. Ignitus flees for safety. There's a blood ball as Vlad and the Goths go head over.
Wait till you see inside. It's goth heaven. Sprat grinned and tilted a handful of open pixie stick up, filling his mouth full of flavored sugar. He offered some to Vlad, but Vlad shook his head. His stomach was already jumping from nerves. The last thing he needed was sugar.
You know you could say he smokes, right? I know a good handful of high schoolers who smoked and or who were into some drugs. This is the vampire world. Drugs don't exist. Yeah, okay, sure, buddy. Whatever. It's talked about later. Are you on drugs? And it's like, oh, we're talking about drugs now, but we wouldn't talk about them then. Even at this party, it's like, these goth kids would seem like the people to, like, smoke weed around the table, like 70s show style. The party is a hit, as the group has this thing where they pretend they're monsters, such as vampire, and Vlad admits that he's one, and they just accept it. I mean, why not? It's not like they call him a liar, since they do this sort of role-playing thing. We meet a girl named Snow, and she becomes important later on, so keep her in mind. She's hitting on Vlad hard, but he doesn't seem to be getting the hit, or is just nervous that another pretty girl is talking to him. Her drunk dad shows up and hits the shit out of her, and Vlad comes to save the day. So, I never did tell this story about how Meredith came to like Vlad, and it was because he saved her from being bullied. So, now we have the dreaded love triangle. And boy, does this sudden drunk daddy nonsense come out of left field. Like, it's very sudden, like that he just comes up, slaps the shit out of her, goes to beat her ass. Vlad comes in to save the day, and then he just walks away. It's very much just like a, we needed to have him come and save her. Even though it could have just been like, hey, he smells the blood, drinks from her, da-da-da-da-da. Oops, I just spoiled a little bit, but meh. Vlad then begins trying to calm her down and kisses her on the cheek, her eyes where her tears are rapidly falling, her neck, you know what happens next. And Vlad drinks a lot, almost to the point of killing her, but he pushes her away, and she kind of has amnesia about the whole situation and runs off to call Henry for help, to which he isn't a dick for 2 seconds, and is his friend again. Good for you for helping someone you know isn't like that, dick. They go back to Henry's, and Vlad realizes his hunger is getting worse, even though he's full, and he still wants to drink. Henry offers his blood, but Vlad refuses. Actually, wouldn't the drudges be the safest person? I don't know. They have a heart-to-heart, and Henry says that he has the little green devil on his shoulder, and Vlad leaving for his new group of vampire friends, and also he realizes that he never had a choice in being a drudge or not, knowing that Vlad has no clue about what he had done because they were literally 8 years old. There's still the discussion of if he'll do it or not, which would mean biting him again, and it's kind of pushed aside. Vlad also has a nightmare of him being tortured where he sees the attacker as Diablo. Of course it is. Henry wakes him up, and Vlad realizes that Diablo is sending him these visions to make him give up Thomas's journal, ultimately giving in, and he's going to give him the journal. How about ask Vicus to make a fake one, or how about Vlad, you make one?
That makes way too much sense.
He gets home to where Nellie rightfully grounds him, but they apologize. Vlad goes to call Henry, who arrives right on cue, saying Vlad could give the journal through FedEx, that way he wouldn't be hurt. But no, that wouldn't make sense. Vlad says he has to deliver to him, and Henry offers to go with him and drives him there. Last night I was distracted and fearing more for your life than my life. Henry huffed. I'm a good driver. Who says? Your mom? The two drive to Stockton where Ignatius is waiting and tries to attack Henry. He releases him as Vlad fights, to which he explodes. The end of the blade slices a small webbing of skin between his forefinger and thumb. But the wound healed almost instantly. Feeling abnormally powerful, Vlad snapped the glare back to Ignatius and raised the glaring brow. Ignatius exploded. But not in the now wasn't that convenient bloody guts went flying everywhere way. More in the blind fury kind of way.
Gosh, I'm so sorry.
Vlad beats the shit out of him before stabbing him in the back and kicking him into a dark alley. But all is not that easy. Ignatius beats him up as Diablo stops him, taking them all inside, and revealing that not only was the journal given by Diablo, but that Otis was the one sending him the memories, well, the memories of himself being tortured. Diablo takes the journal as Jacek, hey, how's it going, buddy? Haven't talked to you in a minute, stops them from leaving, showing Vlad and Henry his beaten and battered uncle. We get some more back and forth talk, and Ignatius is Vlad's grandfather. Ew! Yep, he turned Otis and Thomas. Why? It's never said so. Diablo has figured out how to make the private powers go to him by using Thomas's journal and Vlad's blood. The pages glow, revealing a dark truth. Henry and Otis are taken to the prison cells while Vlad tries to fight off the tree and is strapped to a table. His private energy is taken as Vlad uses his mind control to take over Jacek and injures Diablo. Vlad escapes and finds Otis feeding on Henry, who looks very dead but thankfully isn't. Vlad sees through Jacek's mind that he is barely able to kill Diablo, but is killed in the process. Vlad is basically a zombie of sorts, feeling Jacek's death and seeing him die being too much for him. They go to escape, but of course Diablo finds them, and the battle commences when Henry leaves. He somehow finds the Lucius. How?
Fuck you, that's how.
I don't know how he found it. If it was in Diablo's desk, that was on him. It's not explained. He doesn't say how. He was looking through the desk, but also... you didn't take it the first time. Vlad shoots Diablo's hands off with the Lucius, and for some fucking reason, he can't kill him because he used to be his dad's friend, even though it was like mentor-mentee thing.
Boy, if you don't...
Dumbass, he's an even bigger one when he drops the Lucius down the vent shaft as Otis has to beg him to let him kill Diablo. Otis is injured as Diablo and Vlad are knocked outside where the sun is beginning to rise, burning Diablo, but not Vlad. Yep, he is now immune to the sunlight. Lucky him. Except for Ignatius, who is also dead. Diablo escapes to the shadow and the three head upstairs and get some sunblock to Otis. Vlad almost leaves without his dad's journal, to which he wonders why he would have such a thing to get rid of the Pravis inside of it, to which we actually don't know, and the theory is just possibly he wanted to kill his son, possibly he wanted to make his son live a normal human life. We don't know, so it's up to you to decide. Just a little question here. Even if you killed Diablo, the Elysian Council would still want him dead, or possibly more so. But like, the Elysian Council would punish him too, right? I'm gonna say no, because they clearly let Diablo and Jacek do whatever they want. No consequences, which at all happen. Even then, he's still the Elysian president. Like, they could track him. They could track Otis. They could track everyone else. Hell, Diablo walked into Vlad's house. Like, they clearly don't give a shit enough.
I'm going to kill you, and then kill you again.
4 months pass as Otis is allowed to stay, with Vicus coming to Bathory this fall, so that's gonna be fun. Also, his trial is in 10 months, plus Diablo is alive and president. Why? We already know the answer, but fun times all around. Henry comes over and he says he still wants to be Vlad's drudge, and we cut to the Freedom Festival where Vlad is trying desperately not to hurt Meredith. But once more, there are no happy endings here. Vlad breaks up with Meredith to not drink her blood, like literally shatters her heart. He runs home and asks how Otis is able to be with Nellie, and he tells her he manages by pushing the thoughts out, and Vlad happens to run into Eddie, who knows Snow, and is saying he's gonna be her best friend. Vlad threatens him as we cut to the crypt where Vlad meets up with Snow, and he realizes that Snow is his drudge. She knows he's a vampire as he feeds from her once more, keeping this a secret from everyone as she does the same. Why? Why would you keep this a secret from Otis, who literally said, you need to start drinking from people, this is going to be a problem, he was going to help you, he was going to do and show you what to do? I do not understand, because Otis has never been upset with you from doing any little thing. He would have kept that secret from Nellie. You know he would. He would have kept that secret from Henry. Vlad would have kept the secret from Henry too. What's the issue here?
Oh, I need to be a man and keep this on my own. I need to work out.
No, you don't. You have people now that will help you. It's not like last time where it's Henry is just a human. He wouldn't know about this vampire. You have now 2 people on your side that could be able to help you. Even Vikings is like, you don't drink from human. That's a little fucking weird. I guess go off, Queen. We also get some cool Elysian code, which I question why now and not book 2, when we were getting more into the world, but hopefully I did Z Brewer proud and probably fucked it up. Hold on. I wrote some of them. I don't think you'll be able to see. I'll have to take a picture of it. Can you actually see it? No, I'll have to take a picture of it. I don't know if I did any of this right because, hold on, I'll have to find it here. Here it is. It's this code from, it says even from like last year, from like June 15th of last year. So, yippee skippy. I do like this one more, and I do remember now snow becoming a major part in that the love triangle is. And here's the thing too, I don't know why Vlad doesn't say, hey Meredith, I'm a vampire, or also, hey, we have to break up. It's not you, it's me. I have a lot of issues going on. That sounds stupid, because it makes sense. And also, again, the stuff with Henry and Vlad, I'm like, you're breaking my heart, man. At one point, I'm very much, like, surprised Vlad did not punch Henry, or Henry did not punch Vlad. And it was all because it was mostly the Drudge thing and Melissa Hart. At the end of this, Melissa maybe starts falling for her. Maybe. It's hinted maybe. Which, guess who comes back in the next book? You'll never guess. The Slayer coin as well is talked about, like, twice. Did I even mention that? I was reading too much to be, like, taking that all in. But even Otis is like, where'd you find that coin? He's like, oh, I found it on the ground. I think it's Josh's. And he goes, you shouldn't have that. I'll keep it. It's my good luck charm. I'm so happy that there's not a lot of stuff with Stephanie's fucking sister. I'm so happy about that. Do we have character development? I don't know. Do we? Also, this next one actually has this one right here, this little sticker. I don't know if my other copy had it. Mind you, I had to get rid of, like, the other ones a long fucking time ago. I gave it to my cousin, and it says here, bonus conversation between Vlad and Heather. I'm going to put this up here now because I was looking up different, copies in different languages of, like, these covers, because you have the Japanese version that are all right there, but I looked at the German version for the ninth grade sucks dick, I don't know. And the 9th grade one I don't like as much as I do the one that we have there. It looks more intimidating in the US, maybe the Europe version, I don't know, because the 8th grade one looks really good. I like that one. The others just all look like this. And I need to find if there's, like, other French ones, because can you not try and bite my bookmark, please? Now she wants to play with the bookmark. I will give you string, child. Give me a second. Here, you can have string. You're going to hear her play with string now. It's shoestring. She's fine. She's weird about her toys. My baby's had issues. But I need to look up, because do you know how, like, Twilight, there's, like, so many copies that, like, the UK version, the French version, and then there's the Japanese version of, like, what all the Twilights look like, and they're, like, usually all different. I haven't, besides the Japanese and, like, 2 of the German versions, I really haven't looked into the other different copies. I'm not gonna get them just because you tried to bite my bookmark, you little shithead. You said, stop! Say, Mommy's starting to feel better. I'm gonna start mass chaos. But anyway, I don't know if I've been talking more about how I like these books or not. I still have issues with this. Vlad, you should have killed Diablo, even though the Legion Council probably would have gone after him still. But they're you heathen child. They definitely are being like, we're gonna break all of our council rules. Mini-me, get the Olive Garden. Nope. My dad wouldn't want him to die. Bitch, I'm not your father. I'm not your daddy. Give me the gun. And he drops it down a vent. Dude, Otis better be sneaking in there and be like, Vlad, you are keeping this thing? I do not care. I don't care if I have to stick it in your hand like a Spider-Man web shooter. You're keeping this shit. It is for your own protection. Even then, like given to Joss or any of the Slayer, they're gonna fuck shit. Well, to be fair, they wouldn't because it's only used by vampires. They take his blood, which I didn't discuss it in the review, but they take his essence, and it doesn't work because it's supposed to make them like immune to sunlight. It does not. And I think because it's also not talked about in this, that like maybe Thomas made sure that like that Vlad had sunscreen on. Maybe as he got older he became more immune, like how his powers are growing. Like now he has super speed and super strength. But I would assume because he's wearing sunscreen that he would have had to have, like at one point in time, started to burn. So that's my assumption. Either that or Thomas was like, he may not. You know what? He's my son. He may not. His fangs are retractable. Also, it's never indicated like what color eyes everyone else has, because everyone else just seems to have like either gray eyes or like brown eyes. I forget what color eyes Otis has. I know Jacek has gray. And I think so does Diablo. Because in the graphic novel, Vlad has gray, but in the Japanese version, he has blue. Which, I like the blue ones better for him. But also, I kind of like always assumed he also had brown eyes because all dark. And it's also talked that my reason for liking October is because she treats him like a fucking person. And I kind of do, like, by the way, she's gonna be dating, Kristoff? I think it's Kristoff. One of the other goth guys. Which I like all the goth kids because they're pretty much just like, you're a freak, we're freaks, we're all cool with that, you know? And they play the role-playing of being a vampire, like, pretty well. And it doesn't matter because, like, I used to know kids who, like, would pretend to be vampires too, except for in high school, like especially like the role-playing days as you get older, especially on Discord days. I didn't use Discord, but YouTube videos exist of these people. I already know I'm either gonna be very upset with 11th grade burns, or I probably will talk about the stuff with Vlad and Zach, that conversation starter. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I truly don't know how well that'll go, because I don't remember that in my original copy. Oh, I just realized. Hold on. Oh, it does say that the who the cover art is done by Michael Frost. Cover design by Christina Fanost. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Also, it still confuses me about the tattoos, because more than that, it seems to be a mixture between being a part of the vampires, being connected to family, like certain family members, but then also power-wise it glows. I'd rather it have been the family thing instead of it being connected to power. Like for the Pravis, yes, but it also shows that it glows with everyone else. And it mostly contributes to the mind reading or the telepathy. Which again, I think just like how if Spider-Man ever goes rogue, like it's a nightmare. If he ever goes rogue, they're gonna die. People are gonna die. And I think, in truth, I know Vlad does not want to kill people. I do know that. But I think, truthfully, Diablo, he needs to die. Ignatius, like, was killed by Otis. But Jacek was gonna kill you regardless. I think, in all honesty, I think Jacek probably would have been a good idea to have as a spy. Like, he pretty clearly was very much a bad guy, but he had the air of like he could possibly be a good guy, just like how Geen was in Bleach. Like he's a bad guy, but like he had the background of like he works for the council, but he's technically working to stop bad guys, and he's like more gray. Like, he does not like Vlad whatsoever, and he's to stop Vlad and Diablo, but more so Diablo and Ignatius. But who am I to say? So let's get on to the next one. And hopefully when I'm not feeling like absolute garbage, and also when I can stop slurring my words.
Hi, this is now voiceover me because I'm still kind of sick. You can hear it in my voice. And also, I don't care right now. And to be fair, I actually wanted to try and do something different. I said, fuck it, why don't we do some coloring or whatever. Guess who I'm drawing in this scene? But also, I just truly, I don't know. I just didn't want to sit in front of the computer. I also noticed while editing all of these that like the audio would sometimes go back and forth, but that's because I was also going back and forth between the computer and trying to be like, hey, comedic timing, you know. It is what it is. I'm not changing it. For the duration of this, I probably will, for this one and the next one, I'll probably do the coloring and then probably go back to the other stuff. So maybe, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't started the Slayer stuff yet. So yippee skippy for me. Anyway, let's get on to 11th grade burns. Again, this title could have been the 10th grade title too, so Joss is coming back. Yippee! Vlad's being a mopey dude since his breakup, and worst of all, he's fighting with Otis because, again, he doesn't want to kill Joss. Cool, dude, he staked you. Oh, also, we don't know if your immortal thing is still around or not, so, it's best to stay away from the guy who literally knows every weakness in your body. Otis renovates Vlad's old house, except a few rooms, which is for Vlad to take into his own hands. Otis may or may not know that he's feeding on snow. Possibly. He doesn't outright say it, but Vlad's not eating as per usual, so there's that. I don't know why he still won't say he is and that he has a drudge now. He's just honestly being stupid, and it's not explained why. Like, I get it, you're on your high horse. You were saying, oh, my dad was young blood. Yeah, later on, you find out that that wasn't fucking true either. And to be fair, I would have expected, like, the drudge thing to have people be, like, used as their personal food bag, which I don't think a lot of them have a choice. And Henry outright a couple of times says, yo, you should probably feed from me, even though I find that pretty bad and disgusting. Like, you should feed from me. Even Snow at points is like, yeah, here, like, I can tell in your face you're not looking well. Like, here's some blood. Like, dude, chill the fuck out. Oh, and Henry and Melissa are a thing now? Yeah, remember last book when that whole debacle happened? It doesn't last. So fuck me, I guess. But Vlad's not in the dating mood, but maybe Snow is. He also realized him and Meredith didn't know each other well because Vlad's fantasies about her and how he won't share anything about himself. We cut to the crypt where Vlad nearly kills Snow again. Why not tell Otis? Otis literally is like, oh, hey, I'll teach you how to drain blood if you don't want them to actually die and how to control yourself. Bitch, you are a teenager. He's like 100-year-old vampire. He knows. Stop trying to keep this all to yourself. You're not good at hiding it either. Anyway, Vlad makes Henry take him home and miss his date with Melissa. Pride is a dangerous demon, young Vladimir. Speaking of demons, a note is left on his door as Otis asks him to return to his old house, where he sees Otis, followed by Vicus, and a few other vampires are talking. Diablo is now a part of the Elysian Council, which is a no-no for the simple fact that not only should it be the 9 Otis, but for the fact that he's a leader of a cult now that wants the Pravis to be the ruler of humans and vampires. Bitch, we've been knowing this. Like, seriously. You guys just caught up to speed? And they confirmed that they probably are more or less in with this plan. Again, is some mind control stronger and you'll find out why later on. And when I mean later on, I mean, oh, hello character that we've never talked to before until now.
But they managed to push the day of the trial to Halloween Eve, but also to December 26th. Thank you, baby Jesus. We meet a vampire named Dorian, and he's a little too interested in Vlad's blood, more so the human side.
Touch the child!
Oh, and did I mention that this trial is basically Otis's death day? No, Merry Christmas! Also, Dorian, leave this child alone. We don't need you on our registry. He nearly does drink for Vlad, making everyone freeze in place as Vlad makes Otis move and save him. Dorian leaves without a fight, which, I mean, he'll either find Vlad alone or come again whenever the hell he wants, so whatever. Vlad goes to sleep in his old room until the other vampires leave and is reminded of his mom and of happier times as we get to hear this heart-wrenching line. A hand, warm, gentle, brushed the hair from Vlad's still-closed eyes. Following its light touch was Otis's voice, equally as caring. Vladimir, I hate to wake you, but our guests have gone. We should get you home. Vlad rolled over, content to sleep, and mumbled, 5 more minutes, Dad. After a pause, Otis's only reply was to cover Vlad with a soft blanket. As his footsteps faded out the door and down the hall, Vlad snuggled into his blanket and slipped back into a deep and restful slumber. School goes. Joss is in one of his classes, and so is Meredith. I don't think he knows that Otis is a vampire, but you never know. And for some reason, Vlad floats into the bathroom in broad daylight.
Well. If it isn't the consequences of my action.
Everything that happens now is your own fault, Vlad. Vlad at one point flips his lid after Joss pokes him in the back with a pencil and both in school suspension. Yeah, he kind of had that. He kind of had the right reaction there. Considering a slayer was behind him. He confronts Otis and he can make things move with his mind after drinking from a vampire, and it was Dorian's idea.
That's the tea, sis.
He's also protected by Elysia. I'll give you 10 seconds to guess why and tell you that you're wrong. So if Vlad drank from Otis, he would, in theory, get powers too and vice versa. Who knows? Also, why that's not written down is beyond me. Also, it's not because you also realize that he got the blood after he was staked by Joss in the last book. So no, unless it's not opened or awakened. So no. This also means that the graphic novel could have done this, but chose not to. And to be fair, I think the series was almost done by this point, so oops. It was also hinted in the first book, but more so as he pulled it slightly and it just was already closing, that type of shit. But Vlad doesn't have that power. Remember, Otis gave him blood and he never gained telepathy. Otis thinks that because that vampire he drank was Dorian's son, Adrian, that may be why. Dorian and kids do not go hand in hand. Vicus and Vlad go into his house and do a sort of history lesson into the introduction into the Slayer Society, that Tyrion was a vampire who basically told a bunch of vampire slayers that they'd not only exist, but the Elysian Council could not do anything to stop him. He decided to make them all his drudges as they end up killing him. Now, fun fact, you can only have 2 drudges before your power against them basically becomes weaker. Which, if you think back to book 1, that Joss was being mind-controlled by Diablo as a drudge too, while probably also maybe really wanting to kill Vlad. Also remember that all Slayers are born from the descendants. How so?
Fuck you, that's how.
No idea how it's shown or who has the qualifications. Oh my god. Actually, oh my god. Henry and Joss are cousins, so Henry also could be.
That's the tea, sis.
Vlad goes to the crypt where Diablo shows up. Of course he does, and he doesn't kill Vlad, but he does choke the shit out of him when he refuses his truce. No shit. Dorian hears Diablo threaten him and basically makes him believe that he can't kill Vlad because he would be killed by everyone who likes Thomas, which was a lot of people. Diablo runs away as Dorian almost drinks from him, only to be saved by October. Or were they both saved by her? And Vlad tells Otis and Vicus everything, right?
Why do I even bother?
Bill and Tom duct tape Vlad to a tree as Eddie walks around and begins taking photos of him, even putting garlic around him. He begins to grow weak, and Joss comes in to not only prove that he is indeed a vampire, but a unique one at that. They almost fight as Vlad breaks Eddie's camera and Henry comes in between them and stops them. They also talk of Joss being punished by the Slayer Society, like physically, and he's been brainwashed. Cool, it's probably by Diablo. Dorian meets with him once more. You're becoming worse than Eddie, go away. He wants to drink from him yet again. He has information about the Privates, and he also can break the strongest of mental bonds, so he knows about Snow. Again, why not truce for truce? The worst he'll do is, how about a vial full of blood? You know, like, I'm sure he could do that on his own, right, Vlad? You can use a syringe on yourself? Yeah? No? I don't know about that one. He escapes and we cut to Halloween, and by God! So Meredith calls and basically goes, hey Vlad, you didn't happen to have a real reason for me and Josh to, like, not be together tonight, do you? And Vlad's like, no. And she's like, okay, fine. Bitch, you're doing it again. I don't care that you like Vlad. You had the right to either be like, no, I'm going to try and fight for Vlad, or hey, I'm moving on, you dumb bitch. You are how old now? You're like, what, 17, 18 years old? And by God, you need to stop this. He's moved on. You guys can still be friends if you so desire. Why are you so hung up on him? You have Joss. Joss is all over you. Stop this. Anyway, we cut to the crypt where it's vampire night there, and Vlad and Snow sneak off. Vlad has to say, hey, Snow, we are only as friends, right? I know you like me, and I do have feelings for you, but, like, I still have feelings for Meredith, and while she's upset, she understands, as he basically tells her everything about why he likes Meredith, and that Meredith does not know that he is a vampire. She says that you should definitely tell her, because she needs to accept you. They kiss. Snow is so much better of an option, but also, we know jack shit about her, to be fair. Like, besides, like, maybe 3 major things, which even then, no. I would have been like, you know what this Halloween party needs? Fuck the crypt. We're gonna go over to that damn Halloween party and then go over there and show up and be like, look, 2 baddies here? Fuck you mean? We're the baddest bitches out here, and Meredith can kiss my ass. Vicus is poisoned, and they believe it to be Joss, or Diablo, or another vampire. Guys, we have options here because a good portion of them probably are afraid of Vlad. Vlad goes to the bathroom and finds it destroyed and his father's journal gone. Worse is that he has been invited to Thanksgiving at Henry's, and guess who's gonna be there? Diablo sneaks into Vlad's home and tries to use the ritual dagger on him. Vlad breaks it into his shoulder and leaves.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
Thanksgiving is here, and it's a little tense. The dining room was about as picturesque as it could be, with a cornucopia at the center of the table and small candles in the amber-colored glass holders placed here and there all over the table and room. The place settings were in the various autumn colors: burgundy, bronze, gold, and pumpkin. Food sat in the beautiful bowls and atop gorgeous platters. The turkey, a perfect golden brown, commanded the feast near the head of the table. It looked like a scene out of a movie, and it smelled a million times better than anything Nellie had ever prepared. So much so that Vlad found himself actually mulling over the idea of eating some human food, sans blood. We get a flashback of sorts. Vlad is looking for clues on who killed his parents and finds Adrian's phone number and gets a cryptic message from Vicus. Vicus stepped closer, placing a caring hand on Vlad's shoulder. What answers could you possibly find in the cold ashes, Vladimir? The men who did this must have had their reason for doing so, but they've left nothing behind, only bad memories. Turning to face him, Vlad said, Vicus, what makes you think it was more than one man? Vicus grew quiet for a bit, then gave his shoulders a squeeze before turning to leave the room. Just a feeling I have, Malaliki Dival. It most likely means nothing at all. Vlad took no comfort in his words, but his tears at least ceased. Oh boy, another dance! Snow comes along and they're having the time of their life, but Vlad has to feed and a flash happens. Thanks, Eddie, I'm sure that'll come up later, dickhead. Meredith sees and Vlad chases after her, revealing the truth. She slaps him, saying to never speak to her again as Vlad returns to Snow, dancing the night away with a stinging cheek, in the realization that only 4 people know of his existence, none of which who have ever hurt or lied to him like this. Today's the day, the pre-trial in New York. They go to a vampire bar as we meet Enrico and his drudge. Vlad feels a pull and slips away as Dorian finds him. He admits he knows about the Private's history and that there were other 4 that also knew the Privates too. The other 2 had died, and guess who the third is? He says he'll tell Vlad about it, and we see a memory of him not only being tortured, but having the Privates written into his body and soul. 2 of the vampires who tortured him are killed by Vicus. So you could have told him all along. Dorian leaves, saying that he'll tell him in due time. I don't know why. As Vlad returns to the bar, he and Otis are invited to go human hunting, and we see the true vampire side of Otis. The pre-trial commences with Otis's trial being in May. I don't know why they let one vampire be the main person to say so, but whatever. Vicus calls on Otis and Vlad for help as Tristan has passed away. He was his drudge. He didn't get a lot to say, but Tristan was kind of cool when he was on screen. They believe it to be Joss, and Vlad finds him at his parents' grave, and they fight. Vlad clearly overpowers him, and they end up in the hospital. Joss swears he never killed Tristan or stole his dad's journal, as Vlad leaves his Slayer coin as a truce. He also says he can't just leave the society because they will go killing people to rid the vampires. Eddie puts it in the school paper that Vlad is a vampire, and he runs home, gathering his things to run away. But Otis is like, dude, they don't even know, and that photo was from the dance, and it looks like you were making out with snow. Vlad stays home for a few days until Nellie forces him out. Joss meets up with him again, saying that they could still be friends in the daytime, but sworn enemies at night. Both agree to this, which, good plan until it isn't. Dorian meets up with Vlad at their training and basically answers a few questions. Mostly being in this sort of way. Is the Privacy evil? Probably. Will I be evil? I don't know. Is there a real reason for the Privacy to control all? Could I have your blood now? Yeah, it never goes well. Dorian likes to talk in circles or be cryptic as shit. The day of the trial finally happens, and Diablo is a little too into helping Otis. Oh yeah, because while Otis's charges are dropped and he's cleared, Vlad's trial begins now. Two things. One, on what besides Diablo attacking him? And two, he made a drudge at 8. Oops. He's found guilty, and with 1 week until his doom, he's sent home. Oh, and the one council member is definitely working with Diablo. Vlad goes about his life. He's released Snow, tells Meredith a few kind words to let her know that he still kind of likes her, and he can't release Henry. He goes back home, only for Josh to nearly stake him and gets Dorian instead. Dorian makes Vlad drink his blood as he sees a vision of Vlad ruling over everyone. Dorian reveals his bright blue eyes and admits he never told Vlad because he wasn't ready. Until this point. He dies as Joss comes in for the attack. Vlad beats the ever-living shit out of him, only for someone to stop him. His father. So the talk with Z, which is at the little bit at the end that I think in only grade 11 has, which it's very short, and I really would have liked a story based on something like this. Z Brewer, you have options. I'm kidding. So the talk with Z. It's basically about Vlad finding Z, and he asked them to write their story, and Z also admits that Joss really wanted his story to be written too. Like, yeah, that just makes it even better that, like, 2 people knew of Z Brewer, who one was writing for the vampire, and Joss is like, hey, you should do one for me. Honestly, good first wall break, and would be a really good story if that ever got written. I don't know if it ever will be, but should totally do it. Again, I'm gonna say this now because I wanted to draw, and I truly didn't want to show my face because I'm a little better this time. But let's see, because halfway through recording for book number 4, my voice literally went, let's talk like we have a smoker's cough of it. Fuck. I can't do it still. I'm still sort of healing. So I'll also put a picture here of what my, what book is this called? Oh, 10th Grade Kills. What this one has at the front. And then because I have all of the Slayer books in hardback that they sadly don't have the reflective Vladimir Tod symbol, but they do have the reflective sighting, which cool, but also I wanted all of them to have it. And this also makes me realize I probably should have gotten them all in hardback. I don't know if all of them did or not. I only know that I got book 5 in hardback, and also, if you could see, I have a thing from Half Price Books. I now have a vendetta against them, so I'm not buying from them ever again. But I got this book on September 2nd of 2013. I was reviewing this book, or this whole series for book club whenever I started it. So that was great. Do you want to know how well book club started out? It started out great. And then the book club leaders
mom was like the only one truly reading the books with us, even though there was like 4 of us, and her daughter just was like, you know what, I don't even want to read these books anymore. I don't like reading anymore. And it wasn't like, oh, I don't like the series. It was just a matter of like, oh, I'm too good for this. I'm going to start my rebellious arc by not doing the things that you tell me to do. Yeah, that'll show you. And then here we are years later, and now I'm doing my own damn book club here by myself. And I don't know about anybody else, so. Anyway, 12th grade kills! We get a prologue of Diablo's death. Okay, then. Anyway, back to the present. We still are in shock that Thomas is alive. Thomas disappears, and it's up to the air if he's alive or not. Henry arrives as the police are called and do nothing about Dorian. But apparently Vlad covered him. But I thought, like, we were still in plain view of him? But, like, we're not. But they take Joss to the hospital. But they don't take Dorian. Wouldn't they be checking the area? Because Vlad definitely would have had blood. Like, blood would be everywhere. And considering that there probably would be a huge pile of blood, like, Josh, yeah, he got beat the shit up. But, like, this blood of a man who got literally stabbed in the heart? Yeah, no, I think I would be finding a body, or at least, like, maybe if this other person got injured. Because, again, a big mystery pile of blood that isn't coming from this other dude. Someone either died and got picked up and taken to a hospital, or B, there's someone else dead around here that tried to escape. But, you know, that's just me. Anyway, they go to this house, and Em and Enrico are there. Did I even talk about Em? She's one of the main leaders of the Elysian trials. I don't think I actually, like, she doesn't really get a name. And I think maybe at the end of the 4th book she did. I don't remember. Mind you, she says Diablo is dead and gone, as she's like, the trial for your dad dating your mom is still up in the air. Bitch, why does he have to die for that? No, truly, I don't understand why he has to die for that. Like, what are the other consequences? Because all I'm hearing from this Elysian Council is if you even go against him for like 2 seconds, you're going to be put to death. Anyway, Vlad says he saw his dad alive, and she gives him to the end of December to bring him to them or die. Or how about this? Leave the kid who knew nothing about vampire shit until, like, what? A few years ago? Out of this. Stop bringing a kid who has the powers to end all be all into this world. Stop doing this, and maybe shit wouldn't get as fucked up as it was. Like, literally, if you're like, oh, okay, he's a vampire, let's keep a watch on him, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We have, like, 2 of them technically around him. And then maybe your fucking plan would have worked. Instead, now we gotta be like, let's put this bitch to trial and make it so that he knows about the vampire encyclopedia and Elysian culture. And you all are stupid. You lived for thousands of years, and over here you're titty fucking each other, just being like, oh, what if we did this? Oh, what if we did that? No, it doesn't fucking work anymore, because now this kid knows that, hey, I may be the bravest, and I may have god powers to be able to stop people and make people kill themselves for fun if I wanted to. But no, this kid was born with the heart of gold and actually the human understanding over here, and you vampires are just like, you know, as soon as we turn vampire, just the human life, it's gone, it goes, whoop, it goes, bye-bye. You guys are fucking stupid, I hate you all. Oh yeah, and Em is Vlad's great-grandmother, mother of Ignatius. They use the term mother for turning someone, so I don't know if that makes this better or not. I truly don't. In all honesty, let's just say the whole vampire thing is a fucking circle. Anyway, they leave as Vlad and Henry go to the hospital. Joss does tell his parents that him and Vlad fought as 2 cops nearly arrest him, but ask about someone related to Henry and Joss named Abraham, probably a slayer. Yippee! Vlad admits to his uncle what happened to Dorian, and Otis says he hid the body better. Why are we touching dead shit? Also, why are you helping him hide? Vlad steps aside only to be cornered by police officers who are actually slayers. He beats the shit out of them and even gets a new hovering ability, and yeah, Otis and Ellie just drive home. I don't even think he tells Otis this, unless, like, Otis is like, oh, yeah, shit happened. Or, like, realizes, oh, he has blood on his hands and it's healing. I don't know. They search and search, but nothing seems to be coming from it for finding the journal. Vlad finally admits to drinking from Dorian and maybe seeing Thomas was just an illusion from a deranged vampire. Otis seems to be not too happy hearing that, while Vicus is taking this way better than everyone else's for some reason. Vlad goes back to Belthory and finds his dad there because of course he does. Thomas admits that the reason no one can detect him is because he burnt his mark away, but still has his powers. They go back to Vlad's old house, and he admits that he did lead his mom to die. He left to go visit Alicia to spy, only to return and find Nellie holding Vlad and Melina gone. He bribes the people who believe the Privates will take over, and it does teach him a lesson. They tried to, I guess, get a hold of Melina, but they didn't try and steal Vlad. You know, the possible Privates, whatever. But he admits to leaving Vlad alone for 7 years in fear, but still had the ability to tell and talk to Vlad with telepathy. You fucking dickhead. Not only that, could have told Otis, could have told Nellie, could have written him letters. Like, just blank letters saying, hey, son, the reason all this happened is because vampire shit and I have to leave. I love you. I will write to you. You know why they could have written? You know who actually tried to help him in a situation where he was in trouble, even though he had to be far away from the situation because he was being tracked by vampires? Fucking Otis, the next father to him, his true fucking father? Ah! Otis and Nellie slapped the shit out of Thomas.
Good.
No, seriously, good. He deserves every single beating that is coming to him. They tell him that he could have told Vicus and Otis what had happened. And yes, even if he was escaping danger, Vicus is the only one who hugs him, which, you do you. You just found out, I think, like, what, last year that my dude is dead. So I guess it hasn't been too hard on him. Thomas does admit, though, that everyone is working for the people who believe the Privates is going to rule all of mankind, and it's hinted to be Otis, but... Hey, Thomas, you're a bitch. Sincerely, everyone. Also, just realizing that this kind of reading shit comes in handy, especially for the Privates, because it said human and vampires can't converse, and yet Vlad's here. I bet, honestly, Thomas thought that she low-key cheated. Read her mind and was like chill as a cucumber or DNA test at birth. What an awkward hospital visit that would have been, honestly. No, truthfully, like, it's very much hinted that vampires and humans cannot create children. It's only between humans and humans and vampires. Or, like, they change each other and technically become related by that. So that's why, like, Thomas and Otis are technically brothers, but not blood brothers. Same with Ignatius being their dad. Truthfully, either for a minute he was like, oh, she cheated, or he was like, oh shit, this actually worked. Time to do the cha-cha slide, or whatever the fuck they did back in the day. As a form of dancing of happiness. Oh, and by the way, who do you think is the person that was in the bed with Melina? Now Vlad is thinking that, hey, his mom, A, is a cheater, or B, someone else entirely. So this is great for Vlad's mental health. Thomas admits to abandoning him. Everyone's either angry or sad about the situation, except for Vicus. He just kind of learned of his death last year, whatever. Also, Thomas pulled the Edward Cullen of stalking. Ew! Vlad can't sleep, what with the thoughts of his dad being back in snow. Wait, what? And just when he goes to clear his head, he heads to someone who truly would know what to do in this kind of situation. Someone who is very close to the source. And Meredith? Okay, no, she's a friend, yes, but no! She basically says what everyone else has been telling Vlad. Yeah, I would want to beat the shit out of Thomas too. And they kiss. Meredith the cheater and Vlad the not so interested in her but Snow guy. And then my favorite line appears. My utmost favorite line in this entire book. Next to one where Henry's getting the shit beat out of him and he gets thrown into a dumpster. Amazing, endearing, heartfelt kisses. Kisses that he had been missing not just with his lips, but with his every soul. Mulling this over, Vlad wiped her lip gloss off of his lips with the back of his hand. Vampires, after all, don't sparkle. Then he has to bring up Josh, who is concerned for him.
Do not cry for him. Do not cry.
And also tries to confirm if he really is a vampire or not, and he says no and leaves.
Wah, wah, wah.
Thomas and Vlad go to visit Melina's grave, only for Vlad to get a vision of the future. They rush home, only for two vampires working for M there, and demanding to know how Thomas is not only alive, but the trial should be moved forward now that he's here. Otis makes a glyph on a paperweight as one of the vampires catches it, turns to fucking dust.
Cheers, I'll drink to that, bro.
You could have used that later. You could have used this fucking later. Why didn't you think of using this later, Otis? You dumb bitch. You dumb hoe.
Can you tell I'm mad? Can you tell I know what happens later on? Can you tell that I'm seething now, remembering that there's a glyph that turns red that can make people disintegrate? Thomas tells the other one to lie like his life depended on it and leaves. Josh shows up onto Vlad's porch and tells him that the Slayers are going to kill everyone if Vlad doesn't die. Josh somehow made it so that he had to kill Vlad, but he admits he doesn't want him to die. Him and the others don't deserve to die either. So it's kind of a, you should probably kill yourself now before the day gets worse, but here we are. He says he'll come up with a plan, but Vlad agrees to help, and they have until the end of December. Mind control or the Previs could stop them? I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. First day of senior year. Ugh. Snow is now enrolled here and is not bad, but better off and no longer living with her dad. But the bastard Eddie finds her one day and she admits that Vlad is a vampire because not only was she heartbroken, but Eddie had found a girl stuck in her feels and she just blurted it out in pure anger. Oh, and he recorded their conversation, so that's a plus. Eddie, on recording, he duct taped it to Vlad's locker. Also, how would you have known it's his locker unless it's his same locker every year? Which I don't know if that's the case. Mine changed at school all the time, so I have absolutely no clue. I never used my locker past freshman year because, truth be told, it was a waste of time. Eddie, on recording, tells him to meet at Eat or else. Dude, no one believed you the first or second time. Who's gonna believe you now? The Winchesters? Vlad meets up with Eddie, and oh boy, has he been a little stalker. Even stealing hair and fingernail clippings, even his birth certificate. How the hell is that supposed to prove that he's a vampire? Congratulations. 2 people fucked, and now Vlad's here. Whoop-de-fucking-do. That's so fucking... How to make your birth so insignificant. Congratulations, your parents fucked, and now you're here. Whoop-de-fucking-do. That's so... Eddie admits he wants fame, having letters aplenty to prove that he will reveal his identity. But he's changed his mind. Now he wants to become a vampire. Oh, joyous me! Come Valentine's Day, if he isn't changed, he'll regret it. Also, Eddie admits to taking garlic supplements, but come Valentine's Day, that should be different. What if Vlad said, oh yeah, I'll change you right now? You were gonna kill him? Also, to be fair, Eddie... The only other person that really wanted to kill you was Diablo, and even then, you were saved by your mother. Shut up. He knows of a legion and drudges, but from who? Well, Josh for one, but maybe there's another. Probably, I'm sure there's like a million aplenty because they've all been walking in here like it's a fucking diner, so take your guess. Eddie's getting pretty annoying. Can we just get Otis or Vicus to take care of him because, he's getting really, really annoying. Actually, you know what I'd tell Eddie? I'd tell Eddie that in order to become a vampire, you gotta go to a specific location and or detail how painful it would be and that he would have a 0.0000000001% chance of becoming one. And the reason being is because there was a vampire serum and it's no longer being created because Johnson & Johnson said so. It's a stretch, but he thinks twice, or it'd take a while to realize he's being had. To be fair, either that or we just beat the fuck out of him or mind control him to be like, cool, forget about vampires, you dumb bitch. Henry and October are growing close as Kristoff punches Vlad for hurting Snow and ruining the crypt. Valid. Vlad has a vision of Kristoff running from Eddie and tells Henry, saying that it was most likely because of him turning Eddie. So another into the future vision. Excuse you. We cut to school where Snow and Meredith are fighting with one another about why Vlad likes Snow. You're dating Josh! Shut up about wanting to be with Vlad. Oh, cool, we're friends. Guess what, bitch? I'm friends with my ex, too. I don't do this shit. Also because I know I would literally steal his girl in a heartbeat and make sure that she knows
what a real man is. You know what? Fuck it. I'm keeping it in. Bella, you're mine now. That also sounds bad. We're cutting that part out.
No.
After Snow leaves, Vlad tells Meredith he likes her strength and how she was able to accept all of him knowing who he was as the indication of his love for her grows. And you're gonna tell her, right? Right? You're gonna tell her that you really love her for everything and more? Vlad talks to Otis about his past and being turned. Odd timing. Otis admits that his dad, Thomas, was turned 100 years prior by Ignatius, and in order for a vampire to turn a human, they have to want it, and Otis did. Ignatius was using Thomas as a slave and was going to do the same thing with Otis, but they beat the shit out of him. Could have put him in the sun. Even I know they were in prison, but like, you could have put him in the sun. But we get more drama as Enrico learns of Dorian's passing. He nearly decapitates Vlad's head off, but he uses his preface powers by touching their marking and making him drop the weapon. How could he do this? Simple. The glyphs and the marks are the same, as the preface can use their marks to do whatever, including making it so that whatever he was willing became increasingly hot. Sadly, though, it's hinted that Otis killed Enrico. I get why, but also he kind of had a right to be angry. Josh and Vlad sneak over to Eddie's house to see if he has Thomas's journal, and nope. Oh, sweet, it's Halloween. Why can we not mind control Eddie to ask either where it is or to show us where it is? That sounds easy. That sounds way too easy. Before the Halloween party, Vlad introduces Josh to his dad as a way to see if peace is ever an option, and it is, but when it comes to violence and battle, that is where true peace may come into play, as proven by many wars. They head to the Halloween party as Snow and Vlad dance and kiss, both truly loving one another. This is also where we realize that Vlad's death date is coming. He and Snow are a couple. Henry and Joss find out about his secret hideout. They tell Henry everything minus the staking part, and he offers to help them find the journal. After a heartfelt and fun time with Snow, Vlad also admits that what's going to happen to him and about the Slayers. They have a good cry, and we cut to school where Vlad tells Eddie he's not going to change him. He leaves pissed off as Henry and Josh decide to see a movie. Henry hurries to get to his things from class, and we get to see Bill and Tom again, ready to kick his ass. Hi, guys. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Vlad turned his head towards the voice, but already knew what he'd see. Bill and Tom, still thick-headed, still stupid, and still very much anxious to smack Vlad around. Not today, guys. I'm not in the mood. Bill snorted. Well, we're not here to make out with you, queer. We just want to show you something. Oh, Bill, I didn't know you and Tom were like that. Of course, Vlad beats them up and reveals his purple eyes and his status as the preface to them. And oh boy, is Thanksgiving the time for giving, and by that I mean memories. She smiled brightly at him and said, walk me home? Part of Vlad feared for her safety. Part of him wanted to warn her that she shouldn't be walking home with strange men. Strange men were dangerous, especially strange men with fangs. But this was the past, and Vlad was merely reliving it through Thomas's memories. He wondered briefly if it was how Dorian seemed to know so much about everything, if he'd spent so much time being sucked into the past, into people's memories, people's thoughts. Vlad trailed them down the street, not always keeping his distance, and then at a particularly shadow-filled corner, he stopped dead in his tracks. Thomas looked up and down the street, seeing that they were alone. He grabbed Melina by the arm, his fangs exposed, and bit into her wrist. She cried out, yanking her hand back. Thomas released her. You are my drudge now. Come with me. Melina followed, sniffling, unable to resist her vampire master's direct commands. What do you want? Thomas nodded matter-of-factly. I want a child. Just as quickly as Vlad had been ripped from the dinner table, he was returned, his fork halfway into his mouth with a bite of marshmallow-covered sweet potatoes. He sat the fork down, no longer hungry, and looked at his father. Yeah, how fucked is that? Thomas, you absolute hoe. After everything's done, he and Thomas talking. Yeah, the bitch is crazy. He admits to liking Melina and that he had a son, the Previs, not Vlad, or you, my son, the Previs. Needless to say, Dad's a bad guy. If you need more indication, stay tuned. Josh rushes over and tells Vlad a Slayer has been killed horribly and thinks it's him. Vlad rushes to Otis and he admits he never killed anyone. It's the dad, you dumb bitch. Or Vicus. Probably Vicus. Honestly, what the hell has he been doing? Otis also admits to this line. He's set to create the Previs, Vladimir. He chose your mother based on theories surrounding the Previs myths, and he made her his drudge so that she could not resist. He loved her, yes, but the love came later. First, he used her to bring about the impossible thing, to procreate with a human and bring a half-breed child into the world, a child that would come to rule over vampire kind and enslave the human race. He created you for that purpose. I'm just not certain why. You lie. Otis' voice remained calm and sure. I speak the truth, completely honest, no matter how you may react, remember? Vlad began pacing back and forth across the kitchen. Running through his mind was every loyalty that Otis had ever proven to him. Why would he start lying now? There had to be a reason. He glared at his uncle. You're saying he planned it, that he planned my birth so that way he could be the father to the Previs. That's precisely what I'm saying. And if I don't believe you, Vlad's heart was hammering against his ribs. The corner of Otis's mouth twitched, but only slightly. Ask your father. Henry is finally lit on the situation and punches Vlad. Fair, but during lunch he says that he could fake his death. Why not do that and let the Elysian symbol flake off? Or in Otis's case, take it back. The plan is to let the vampires and slayers see him fall off a cliff as his powers are used to make it so that he looks dead. And that plan is so stupid, in fact, that it doesn't work. M, Abraham, Otis, and Thomas arrive as the battle commences. Vlad runs out and sees it's all apocalyptic and shit, and he meets the goths at the school, admitting he's a vampire.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock!
Well, that was fun. Now to find Joss. And maybe use your vampire powers to find your drudge. They had to head to the Eat Diner and find a newly changed Eddie chasing Kristoff. He was changed by M and told to kill Vlad. Joss rushes over as Vlad is staked by Eddie. And by God, is Vlad got the shield of Dorian's blood and heals pretty instantly, making Eddie run off. Snow stops the Slayer from attacking and is staked. Vlad is given the choice to either let her die or turn her into a monster like him. He decides to change her, but sadly, it doesn't work. Sadly, Snow dies. Vlad, in a fit of rage, makes everyone stop, telling everyone to forget this and go home. Vlad realizes his dad has been a little absent for the battle, going back home to find Thomas inside and reveals his disappointment in him. Admitting to be the leader of people who want the Previs to rule all, he tells the story of how Melina was faithful until the end near her passing, calling Dorian for help to escape with Vlad as his son Adrian was the one found dead and tied to the bed like Melina. And guess who's flammable and allowed the son to catch the poor fucker on fire, also making sure that Melina also catches on fire with him. And Thomas made sure that Otis had been mind-controlled into believing he killed Adrian.
Excuse me, what?
Oh, and better yet, what's better than one killer?
Oh, I know. 2 giant paint bubbles.
Yep, Vicus has no mark as well, so safe to say both are pretty bad. Thomas admits that Diablo would have been successful in getting the Previs powers if he had waited until he truly awakened, and oh boy, is Eisen getting jealous of this very convoluted birth plan, might I add. The two escape as Vlad finds an injured Otis who's clearly lost, wondering where Nellie is. Vlad gets a terrible inkling as Henry arrives with Joss and drive to Stockerton. They see him holding Nellie hostage as Vlad tries to make Thomas release her. Realizing the Previs powers no longer work on someone who isn't with the Elysian cult, but people, I don't know what the fuck to call this anymore, and that he wants the Previs powers for himself. Vlad is to choose either his auntie's life or his uncle's, but Thomas chooses for him and kills Nellie, and Otis races after him. The Lucius, young Vladimir! This could have all been stopped with the Lucius! Speaking of the Lucius, Thomas has it and tries using it on Otis, but it falls, lighting up and cutting Vicus in half. Vlad stakes his father, and as the terrible realization of everything has come to an end. His uncle and friends are alive, his mother avenged, but at the price of his father, Nellie, and many others. They have a funeral for both Thomas and Nellie, but not Vicus. I mean, I ain't mad either way. Vlad gets a retrial and is free as M is no longer on the council and just disappeared, now with Otis taking his place for Vicus, who had a terrible accident resulting in death. Graduation comes as Otis is now the principal, and Vlad has gained a new time-slowing power. Snow is alive too, as everyone seems to be on their road to greatness, and we ended with Snow having iridescent colored eyes and a bright future ahead for all of them. Okay. So, I'm going to kind of put into perspective all of this. I don't know why Vlad, I think at book 2 or 3, got rid of the Lucius. That was stupid. Also, I didn't talk about this, but Thomas found the journal because Eddie had it, and also, he put it in Joss's backpack. The encyclopedia, the vampiric encyclopedia thing, he got rid of it. It's talked about in book 2 that, the paper used could make it so that, used with blood or fire could reveal the private stuff. I don't know why. He, again, could have done, like, so much more. He had people under his wing. We don't see them. We don't see them trying to help Thomas get other people. And honestly, I would have loved it if Vicus was working for the council and with Thomas and was truly, like, a good guy, because I do like Vicus. I really liked Vicus. And Otis, it's still, like, very blatantly that him, like, he is morally gray. Like, he still has the vampire instinct in him, but truly does but doesn't at the same time. I wonder if, like, Vlad ever will let Henry go, because there are vampires that are still going to be after Vlad now. In this Pravis thing, there is, like, no, like, hey, you get to be on the council too. There's no, like, hey, if the Pravis comes to life, like, what do we do? Because only Dorian and Vicus truly knew, and Dorian essentially was like, you have the ability to be either a good Pravis or a bad Pravis, and Vlad was always going to be a good Pravis. It's just when he realized, oh shit, I'm doing bad stuff, he would stop himself, or like there would be other people to stop him, or someone else would come into his head and be like, yeah, Vlad, don't do that. But yeah, I did like these books, and I realized, I think at book 3, that we were getting more descriptions of people in some places, and I think that may have been like a critique for the first 2, which that was mine, because we still don't have an idea of what Henry looks like, what Gregory looks like, what other people look like. It's same with Nellie. Nellie actually, canonically, has no last name, which I don't know why. I don't even think we get, like, Melina's, like, maiden name either, which that's a little, to be fair, I don't think it's important, but I just realized it, like, halfway through this. I also would have liked it if Joss, like, was mind-controlled by Diablo, but I do think that maybe for the Slayers, that someone is, like, there are more vampires there, and they're controlling, like, some of these people, because we don't get a description of, like, how they have to cleanse, like, a Slayer to be, like, truly, like, 100%, like, you're on the game, kid. Not only that, but if Joss is continuing to fail with every single time he's trying to get Vlad, I would have liked to have seen, like, another Slayer, like, watch them two fight and maybe be like, oh, you're being, like, very, like, playful with this vampire. What's going on with you? Or, like, there were times where he literally got beat the fuck up, and it should have been like, yo, this vampire is very strong. We need to start cleansing, like, yesterday. And also, I don't get the pushback for trials. We also don't see, because there's supposed to be 9 older vampires. The only one we get, besides Vicus, which I don't know if he's, like, 100% on the trial or not, but it's mostly M. And M, I can't figure out, like, if she's the last day because she's the oldest, or if it's just, like, they allow her to because she has the loudest voice. Because now Otis is going to be on the council. But she has the loudest voice, and with Otis taking over Vicus's position, and there's, like, a few others taking his position, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. I also don't understand the death of Enrico, even though Thomas is like, I just never liked it. Dude, he was going to kill your son. There's so much of this that could have been dealt with mind control, because it also seems like, besides Vlad being a little stronger, same with Dorian being pretty strong about having these abilities to tag people along and be like, look, I'm going to make it so that you are going to do what I say. Thomas seems to be the one with the strongest pull. Vlad seems to be the one with, like, the vampiric stuff and, like, the most control of, like, making people do what he wants to do. But I'm trying to figure out, like, who has the best mind reading ability, because definitely was Dorian, but it had to be, I would have said it would have had to have been Vicus who had the strongest mind reading ability, because there's no, like, true, like, oh, there's only these specific people that have these different colored eyes, and that they could be, like, because they were hinted that, like, they are, like, the prophecy for the Previs, and that makes me wonder, are there more out there? like in specific countries, because they're all over the world, and it's only like, again, this is only taking place in the States, and Vicus is like one of them, and we don't know about the other two, but Dorian, I don't remember where Dorian's from, so there has to be more, and I'm sure there's probably more Previses. Let me also say this too. Stop bringing in people that don't know of your world and making sure they know the fuck of your world. Kill them. Kill them. You know how to get rid of these vampires. Kill them. And because, hey, let's prove if he's the Previs or not. And if he is, guess what? We abduct him and we make sure that, like, he can never be true Previs. Okay? Because Thomas keeps watching people. Not only that, you realize he watched his son get staked. Didn't do anything to stop Joss or even kill Joss. He let his son get staked. He also watched his son and Otis have a fake funeral for him. So I don't understand that shit either. Again, maybe we'll get more in the Slayer stuff. And also, there is Victor Valentine. And I assume it's supposed to be either Vlad and Snow's kid, or it's supposed to be someone else's kid that maybe they know that Vlad and Snow are vampires. I assume it's their kid. But even then, I don't know what to... I have heard nothing about it, and I have not read the back of the page or the back description, so that's going to be fun for me. Oh, and also before we get into the Slayer books, Book 3, which is purple. Yeah, Book 3 is the hardest to get and the most expensive. I got it cheap. Like, I got it to nearly, like, what full price it was, like, probably when it came out. I've seen it go for $50 to $70 sometimes. I got it for, like, $18, $19. But that's also because I got it, number one, I got it secondhand, and I got it, like, with a bunch of coupons, like, on the website where I bought it from. So, that's why I got it, like, so damn cheap. So, I have no clue about everyone else. Pick your battles. I would have loved this series to get, like, an animated TV show or a movie. They could honestly do it. They could do it. If they so desired, they could, especially because, what is it? Captain Underpants finally got one. Big Nate, Police Dog or Dogman got one. They could. Not in the style of the graphic novels, but they definitely could get a series made of this. And especially because, what was it? Uglies finally got one. 100% you could make a show of this now. To be fair, I think it's been too long, but also, I think truthfully, the series will get a movie, but I don't know if it'll be as popular as people wanted, because I found out that there is a GoFundMe or whatever to make it, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But hey, one day or another. So I'll see you probably at the end of, well, probably like 2 seconds, because I got a little title screen going on, but you know, bye!